Chapter 1423. Ah. Xiaqing Ro jumped off the bed and said, "Big brother, you remember?" Luo Qingqian wasn't scared by Yu Sheng. Rather, she was scared by Xiaqing Ro. It can't be that this girl took stimulants, right? And Yu Sheng didn't seem like he remembered at all. And Yu Sheng was surprised, but he unconsciously pulled Luo Qingqian's arm behind him to protect her. When he was certain that Xiaqing Ro didn't make any killing moves, he slowly said, "Qing Ro, this is the hospital." See. Xiaqing Ro covered her face and got off the bed in embarrassment. She quickly apologized, sorry. She had a sweet smile as she looked at Luo Qingqian and in Yu Sheng. "You really are in the voice acting industry." "I can't. Your voice is very clean." And Yu Sheng looked over and seriously looked at her with his beautiful eyes, sparing no effort in praising her. She was a bit embarrassed in front of Yu Sheng at this moment. This was a very strange feeling. It was like you were the most familiar stranger to the other side. And every word he said made you feel at ease. Half a month later, Yu Sheng was discharged. Actually, he had already recovered, but because of the care of the two elders of the Yin family, he was discharged that far away. And Yu Sheng didn't go back to school. Rather, he took over in Yang's company. But when it came to Liang Bingbing, his so-called fiancée, the gentle him kept rejecting his father's arrangements. At the dinner table, "Your uncle Liang and I have already decided on this matter. You don't need to say anything." And Yang's words were very firm, not giving any room to back down at all. And Yu Sheng put down his chopsticks and calmly said like a youth who had walked out of a painting, "But I don't like her." Although he had lost all his memories, he could deeply feel that this girl, named Liang Bingbing, was definitely not the person he liked. "Fool." And Yang put down his chopsticks and firmly said, "In short, your engagement ceremony will be on the 10th of next month. You can't let down this girl because you lost your memories." As soon as he finished speaking, he stood up angrily and walked towards the study on the second floor. And Yu Sheng tightly knit his brows as a bit of panic filled his heart. At this moment, a clear voice rang out in his mind. It was like a clear spring that could extinguish the restlessness in his heart. "Just listen to your father." Madame saw in Yu Sheng's unwilling appearance and said in a pained voice, "Although this marriage is a bit political, Bingbing's appearance isn't that bad. Mrs. N naturally knows that Liang Bingbing is arrogant and willful. Her mother-in-law always doesn't want her daughter-in-law to be too delicate. However, there was nothing he could do about it. The Yin family often relied on the Liang family's help in the business circle. And now Yu Sheng was the Yin family's only successor. In short, what I don't love, I will never love." He gently put down his bowl and chopsticks. His head hurt. The terrible thing was that this pain did not bring him pain, but a wonderful pleasure. It was as if the more intense the pain, the blurrier the memories of the past would appear in his mind. The young girl who liked to wear a yellow sweater smiled at her with a shy smile. He couldn't see his face or hear his voice. Chapter 1424. After returning to his room, Yu Sheng locked the door with a get-um. This was a kind of self-protection. For someone who had lost their memories, a sealed space could give him a strange sense of security. His mind was a bit messy, and he was a bit anxious. He unconsciously took out his phone and stopped at the name Luo Qingqian. 3 seconds later, he sent her a QQ message. "Long time no see. Have you been busy recently?" He looked at the words in the box, and after thinking about it, he pressed the back button. "Qing Ro said she missed you a bit. Let's meet up sometime." He looked at the words in the box for a while, before pressing the back button again. "I miss you very much." This time, he looked at the word in the box in a daze for 5 minutes. Then, he pressed the send button in disbelief. In an instant, he felt his heart beating wildly, and even his breathing became a little hurried. After that, he immediately made a move. "You've withdrawn a message." In the next second, the other party had already sent him a reply. "I miss you too." Luo Qingqian's tone seemed very relaxed, but it wasn't like this. When she sat in front of the computer and saw Yu Sheng send her the words, "I miss you very much," she thought that he had recovered his memories. However, this expectation was ended by him in the next second. 1. The system didn't recover her affection. 2. If Yu Sheng recovered his memories, he definitely wouldn't just send a simple message on QQ saying that he missed her. So, the one who was thinking of her right now was the white paper in Yu Sheng who had been reborn? She suddenly felt a bit excited. Do you want to go see a movie tomorrow? That if you don't have time, we could do it another day. No, we'll go whenever you're free. Time ticked by second. After 42 seconds, Luo Qingshun gave him a reply. Tomorrow. When she typed these two words, Luo Qingshun's lips curled into a faint smile. It was a wonderful feeling. It was as if they had never dated before. It was as if they had returned to the time when they knew each other. The relationships that he hadn't dated at that time seemed to be going back in time. But he didn't seem to be the Yu Sheng with his personality disorder. The next morning, she stood in front of her wardrobe for a long time. In the end, she decided to wear the yellow sweater, checkered skirt, and a navy blue jacket. Everything seemed to have returned to its original starting point. Before today, Luo Qingshun thought that although Yu Sheng had lost his memories, he wasn't a youth with a personality disorder. It seemed to be another of God's blessings, a blessing in disguise. But at this moment, standing in front of the mirror, she couldn't help but tear up. He was no longer that stubborn youth. Did this mean that he was no longer the person who would live and die for her? Suddenly, I feel so lost. It turned out that it felt so good to have someone pampering you regardless of life and death. It turned out that the paranoid and sick love was so nostalgic. Ding-ling. The sound of a text message interrupted her thoughts. Send me your location. I'll pick you up. And Yu Sheng, Luo Qingshun was a bit surprised before sending her location to him on QQ. Chapter 1425. I've always had a dream where there was another girl in the dream. I asked the doctor, and he said that it was the only memory I wanted to keep at the moment of life and death. Mom and Dad said that it was Liang Bingbing, but I didn't believe them. I asked Qing Ro, and she didn't answer me. She just told me to follow my heart. Then I feel that. That girl is you. I can't take it back, sorry. Don't mind it. Let's watch the movie together tomorrow, all right? Seeing in Yu Sheng's text, she had the urge to tightly hug him. Ding dong. I'm here. And Yu Sheng. Luo Qingshun came out and saw that his car was stopped outside. She slowly waved her hand at the security guard, and the security guard let the car in. You're so fast. Luo Qingshun was sitting in the front passenger seat. She looked at Yu Sheng beside her, and her clear eyes were stunned. She was so surprised that she couldn't speak. And Yu Sheng's clothes were the same as when they went to God's concert. They actually wore the same clothes as they did on that day, so tacitly. This feeling was really good. It warmed her heart. What is it? As he drove down the long slope, he looked around and said, the place where you live, it's different from what you imagined, right? Luo Qingshun turned to him with a faint smile. And Yu Sheng was the first friend to come to her house in this world. Liang Bingbing had told him many things about Luo Qingshun, most of them not good. Although he didn't believe it, he never thought that she would live in such a luxurious place. On the way, they talked a lot, most of it being about school. At the entrance of the theater, he bought the tickets and popcorn before walking beside her. Most of the people passing by would look at them since beautiful things were always pleasing to the eye. But he never thought that things would be this coincidental. Liang Bingbing and her so-called sisters were also at the theater. The world was very big, but sometimes it was very small. Luo Qingshun, you vixen. When she saw Luo Qingshun beside Yu Sheng, her incomparably sharp voice rang out at the entrance of the theater. Everyone's gaze fell on Liang Bingbing, looking at her flushed face. It was like her man had been stolen by a mistress. She had her hands on her hips as she glared at her. Luo Qingshun and Yu Sheng, who had their backs to Liang Bingbing, knit their brows at the same time. And Yu Sheng looked down at Luo Qingshun as he suddenly had an idea. When Luo Qingshun was about to turn and teach Liang Bingbing a lesson, and Yu Sheng reached out his right hand and took her in his embrace. Gedong, Liang Bingbing's heart. She Luo Qingshun's Luo's Luo Qingshun's S was Luo Luo's slash Luo without knowing why. When he heard the girl beside him being called a vixen in front of everyone, he was even angrier than her. There was an unknown, blazing fire in the depths of his heart that was slowly rising up. Ah Sheng. Liang Bingbing's eyes popped out as she looked at Yu Sheng in disbelief. I am Bingbing. I am your fiancé. Hiss. When she said this, the surrounding onlookers all sucked in a breath of cold air. This triangular love story was really eye-catching. Chapter 1426. At this moment, everyone looked at Liang Bingbing with a look of sudden realization. It was like their eyes were saying, "Oh, so she was a fool." At this moment, the sister standing beside Liang Bingbing didn't say a word. This was in Yu Sheng, the male god in the hearts of everyone in the affiliated school. Even if one couldn't become the male god's lover, they definitely couldn't become the person the male god hated. Not to mention that Liang Bingbing relied on her good family background to be a bit of a tyrant in school. Now that she had embarrassed herself, they seemed to be taking joy in her misfortune. You all. Liang Bingbing angrily threw out the bag in her hand and angrily roared. You all just wait. And Yu Sheng saw this and directly protected Luo Qingchen. He lowered his eyes and muttered, Wife, let's go in. This person doesn't seem to be in a good mental state. Pucci. Luo Qingchen couldn't help laughing. Although in Yu Sheng's words were very tactful, his meaning was that this person seemed to be crazy. In the last row, Luo Qingchen was holding the popcorn in her hand when she saw the name of the movie. She was a bit speechless because it was called Spring in the Ears of Rice. This was a literary film, and the female lead was called Fong Dao Sui. Whether it was the title or the female lead's name, it had a strong country feel to it. But this suited the theme of the literary film because it was love from the Republic of China. To be honest, the content wasn't bad, but it was a bit hypocritical. At that time, a comb, a painting, a pen, or a ribbon could be used as a token of love. Love at that time was very pure. There weren't many material conditions, and there weren't many mistresses. But the male and female leads who couldn't get their love, people couldn't help feeling pity for them. There were many girls in the theater who were crying, leaning on the shoulders of the boys beside them. And Yu Sheng looked at Luo Qingchen, and her calmness was a bit terrifying. Not only were there no tears, her eyes weren't even red. He was a bit unwilling. He had clearly seen everyone's comments on the forum, saying that this movie was very tear-jerking, so he specially brought her to see it. Who would have thought that he would fail completely? When the film ended and the male lead closed his eyes and died, the entire set was filled with the sound of crying, until the light was turned on and the tipsy light shone on Luo Qingchen's face. She turned around and smiled at him. It's over. He was a little annoyed as he asked, Is it not pretty? It looks good. Then you don't seem to be. He pointed at a group of girls who were nestled in their boyfriend's arms. Luo Qingchen immediately understood. She chuckled softly and said, Those who have experienced a lot will not be moved to tears. Whether it was love or friendship. Coming out of the cinema, Luo Qingchen pointed to the dessert shop not far away and said, Anyway, it's still early. Since you invited me to watch a movie, I'll treat you to a drink. And Yu Sheng looked at the slightly tipsy street light shining down on her face, and strange and familiar memories filled his mind. Such a night, such a glimmer, such a street, such a girl. This scene was exactly the same as the one in his dream. He nodded without any hesitation before shaking his head. What is it? Luo Qingchen ignored him and asked again. I have to eat supper, but I don't want to drink a drink. What do you want to drink? Chapter 1427. There were people coming and going at the food stall, and Yu Sheng ordered a box of beer and a few dishes. Kacha. There was the sound of a can being opened. Luo Qingchen took 2 sips before saying with a helpless smile, Alcohol really is a good thing. Kacha. And Yu Sheng also opened a can, but he was stopped by Luo Qingchen, but you can't drink it. Why? The moment her soft palm touched his fingertips, he suddenly felt a tremor in his heart. This kind of feeling that came from the depths of his heart couldn't lie to anyone. Because you're a patient. Luo Qingchen took back her hand and drank the beer in front of her. Patients can't drink. Losing your memories isn't considered being sick. He stubbornly picked up the can and took a sip. But why did I lose my memories? They all hesitated, and only Qing Ro told me. What did she say? She felt a bit nervous at that moment. She had me ask you for an answer. He took a deep look at her, and each word was filled with complicated emotions. That magnetic and gentle voice made her eyes turn red. Without memories, there's no answer. Luo Qingshun looked at him and said, most of your guesses are true, but the things that happened, if only one person has memories, it isn't a complete story. Memories were the best amalgamation of emotions. If one didn't even have memories, so what if they knew the answer? It was just like a movie. It was just a story told by someone else. Yes, it is a complete story. After a while, his cool as water voice slowly said, I know that the previous me liked you. Actually, love had never left, but she remembered and he forgot. Right, the previous you liked me. Luo Qingshun said with a bitter smile, but that was the previous you, what about now? A life without memories. Could it be considered love based on a few days of feelings? This kind of love, would he believe it? If he was so convinced, why would he ask her? Silence, silence, silence. A deathly silence. It was only until a sharp voice rang out beside them that the silence was broken. Ah, there were screams that rang out, and Yu Sheng instantly pulled her behind him, vigilantly looking in the direction of the sound. A 5-year-old girl was kidnapped by a man with a knife. Her mother's face was as pale as a sheet of paper, and she collapsed to the ground. Don't hurt my daughter. I beg you, don't hurt my daughter. Your daughter. Your daughter. The man with the saber muttered in despair. Why is your daughter still alive, but my daughter is dead? Why? Mommy, save me. Mommy, save me. The boy's collar was lifted up by the man with the knife, and his body was suspended in the air. They kept crying and struggling. Don't cry. The sword-wielding man scolded fiercely and roared in a hoarse voice. My daughter didn't even cry when she took her last breath. Why do you have to cry? As he spoke, he excitedly slit the little girl's arm with a knife. Blood flowed out in an instant. Don't hurt my child, her mother shouted with all her might. She's only 5 years old. She's only 5 years old. Chapter 1428. Luo Qingshun narrowed her eyes and looked at the man filled with despair. She couldn't help feeling that he was a bit sad. He was most likely a beggar, and his daughter was most likely sick to death. But even so, it couldn't be a reason for him to kill an innocent child. There are so many 5-year-old girls in this world. Could it be that you're planning on killing them all? Luo Qingshun's cold voice sounded. In this cold winter, there was no warmth at all. Right, I want to kill them all. Kill them all. The man's expression was very fierce, and his dark eyes were filled with the determination to destroy the world. Reincarnation of life. Luo Qingshun gave a shrug as her lips curled into a beautiful curve. She looked up and said, in another 5 years, if your ambition is still the same, perhaps you will personally kill your reincarnated daughter. Everyone present held their breaths when they heard this sentence, which was filled with metaphysics. Among them, there was naturally Yu Sheng, who was standing in front of her. This feeling was very strange. It was like there was a treasure behind him that everyone wanted. But he had it and was proud of it. The man was stunned, and his rough hands began to tremble. Really? His daughter would reincarnate? His daughter would appear in the same world as him? No, impossible. His daughter was dead. She was already dead. Her cold corpse was still in the alley where the beggars lived. She only had a small cold, but because she wasn't properly treated, she had died like this. I don't believe it. He angrily roared out as he stabbed the knife into the little girl's body. While stabbing, he shouted, You will all be buried with my daughter. The little girl's mother shouted before fainting on the ground. Luo Qingshun knit her brows and ran over as fast as she could, jumping out. She took the child from the man's hand, but at the same time, the sharp dagger cut her arm. Blood dripped down from her fingertips drop by drop. And Yu Sheng looked at Luo Qingshun like this, and memories kept pouring into his mind. Although it was very blurry, he could already see Luo Qingshun's face and feel the story that once belonged to them. 30 days of waiting for each other, and then the proposition of love. A feeling of suffocation constricted his windpipe. The moment he saw Luo Qingshun's blood, his brain seemed to have opened a door to memory. His life was no longer blank. He wildly charged forward and tightly hugged Luo Qingshun. He said in a trembling voice by her ear, Now I, and Yu Sheng also like you. Ding! Affection has returned to 50%. The long-awaited notification from the system made Luo Qingchen's eyes fill with hot tears. Beep, 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 beep. The sound of the police car reached their ears. The police really came at the right time. They subdued the man with the knife. Tears streamed down his cheeks as he was handcuffed. He took 2 steps before turning back to look at Luo Qingchen and asking, "You said that my daughter will be reincarnated. Is that true?" His voice no longer had a trace of hostility. It was like a father asking a prayer. "Of course." Luo Qingchen slowly said, "This is called the call of love." Call of love. If there is a day when she comes back to this world, you will feel it. Chapter 1429. That night was destined to be a sleepless night. At 3:30 in the morning, Luo Qingchen's phone vibrated. "The family will arrange the engagement next week. Let's discuss what to do." And Yu Sheng, although he had lost all his memories of his life, at least he remembered Luo Qingchen. He remembered that he loved her and remembered some trivial things. This kind of in Yu Sheng, it was impossible for him to marry Liang Bingbing. Luo Qingchen saw in Yu Sheng's text and couldn't help laughing. In the next second, she quickly typed a line of words with her fingertips. "There are 2 options for you to choose from. 1. Steal the bride, or 2. Elope." Luo Qingchen, ding dong. The next message came very quickly, and the other party sent him a question in an inquiring tone. "Then why don't you steal the bride?" And Yu Sheng, she should stay by his side in a dazzling manner. "Okay." Luo Qingchen. Lying in bed, she closed her eyes and her lips curled into a faint smile. She could imagine how gentle in Yu Sheng's tone was when he said this. The next day, Luo Qingchen woke up early. She gradually pulled back the net she had cast in the business circle. During this time, she had bought most of the Liang family's properties in the north while letting go of the properties in the south and south. Going back and forth, the prices of the properties had changed. The Liang family stable stock market had become turbulent in the past few days. This was just a delaying tactic. Luo Qingchen's real goal was to buy the Liang Group's shares. Liang Jiwei, as the chairman, had 35% of the Liang Group's shares. For a listed company, this was already a large share. Luo Qingchen only needed to buy over 35% of her shares to become the owner of the Liang Group. This wasn't an easy matter. It was very easy for Liang Jiwei to notice large shares. Therefore, Luo Qingchen spent nearly a month to create a storm in the stock market, and Liang Jiwei didn't notice anything wrong with it. Instead, he felt happy that he could sell his 5% shares at a low price and get some cash. When Luo Qingchen bought 5% of Liang Jiwei's shares, she was not in a hurry. Instead, she bought his shares bit by bit every day. Liang Jiwei still didn't notice anything wrong when she held 40% of the shares. This was because she had opened a total of 12 different overseas accounts and divided the shares equally. As the name implied, the person who owned the most shares in the Liang Corporation was not the chairman, Liang Jiwei, but her. After making all the preparations, the next step was to prepare the clothes and luxury car for the bride. She had to be like a queen. She had to be imposing. At the same time, Liang Bingbing, who was in the dressing room putting on her bridal gown, looked like an absolute winner. Her peach blossom eyes were half closed, and the corners of her mouth were curled up. The group of so-called Sisters of Honor behind her began to flatter her again after receiving the bridesmaid's big red packet. "Bingbing, you're so beautiful, just like a princess. You're indeed the school flower of our affiliated high school, the princess of a rich family. I just saw a lot of celebrities coming. I'm so envious. The perfect love between the school flower and the school prince. Our family's Princess Bingbing is many times more beautiful than that delinquent girl." Pong! The gorgeous comb heavily lined up on the dressing table. Chapter 1430. "Bingbing, I'm sorry. The fat girl in the pink bridesmaid dress apologized. "It's all my fault I mentioned that slut." "Bingbing, don't be angry." Liang Bingbing gave a soft snort and pursed her lips. "Let me tell you, you have no face and no money. No status, and no family. What qualifications does a punk girl have to compete with me? So what if she won the limelight? Because of the relationship between the Un and Liang families, she was still in Yu Shang's fiancé. This person deserved it. Who told her parents to die when she was born? Without a family background, she was just a farmer. That's right. The occupation that Liang Bingbing looked down on the most in this world was being a farmer. Being dirty every day, she was just like a punk girl like Luo Qingshun. Bingbing is right. The fat girl had a bright smile as she immediately praised. Look, this is a luxurious engagement ceremony. She isn't even qualified to come. The entire dressing room was filled with sounds of ridicule. That so-called bride would never have thought that this would be the last day she would become a princess. Ding, 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 ding. A familiar wedding march sounded. The Yin and Liang family's engagement ceremony was held at the St. Paul's Emperor Hotel in the city. The people who could walk through these doors were either rich or noble. Everyone had to have an identity card to enter, and other than the people who were invited to the wedding, only the VIPs of the St. Paul's Emperor Hotel had this card. Mr. L, who had become the ruler of a city's business circle, was naturally one of them. Luo Qingshun had arrived a day before in Yu Shang's engagement ceremony, so she was living in a luxurious suite on the top floor. There was good food and wine. Everything was available. There was a black lace tube dress in the middle of the room. It was a limited edition Givenchy black wedding dress called the Pride of the Empress. The design came from the evil empress in Snow White. Luo Qingshun couldn't help feeling that this dress was tailored for her tonight. Honorable Mr. L, you can come out in 30 minutes. The one who said this was no one else. It was the AI robot that she had bought at a high price a few days ago. The system doesn't feel that it's AI at all. The system, which had pretended to be dead for a long time, jumped out the moment the robot appeared. His tone was sour and full of ridicule. Now, when it heard the robot speak, it jumped again. Luo Qingshun was too lazy to pay attention to her, although this robot could not be compared with the system. But at least in this dimension, it was still a pretty awesome existence. Got it. Luo Qingshun's lips curled as she put on the Empress's pride. He had snow white skin, red lips, and a black crown. No matter where she was proud and domineering. At the same time, the wedding was about to begin. The dazzling lights in the banquet hall were instantly lit up. And Yu Shang was wearing a white suit with a black bow tie, setting off a face that would make any girl scream. At this moment, all the lights in the hall were not as dazzling as him. A young man who had walked out of a painting. Everyone present felt that he was an elegant prince who was ready to hold the hand of the beautiful princess and write a fairy tale-like love story together. However, that was not the case. Only he knew that he was not a prince. The person he was waiting for was not a princess, but a girl who belonged to him alone. Chapter 1431. The two MCs spoke one after the other on stage, looking very grand. Welcome to all the business leaders and celebrities to the engagement ceremony of Mr. and Yu Sheng and Miss Liang Bingbing. Next, let's invite the most handsome groom and the most beautiful bride onto the stage. Liang Bingbing proudly held her moon-white wedding dress as she walked onto the stage with her head held high. She was a princess, the only school flower of the affiliated high school, the most perfect goddess in the hearts of girls. All of this should have belonged to her in the first place. But Luo Qingshun had stolen the limelight. But now, everything had been settled. Her wedding dress fell to the ground, and she stood by Yu Sheng's side like Snow White. The pearls on the wedding dress sparkled, and the large diamond ring on her hand dazzled the eyes of the girls below. Ah Sheng. She had a proud smile as she said to an Yu Sheng beside her in a low voice. Although you went too far with me that day, I know that you were confused. And Yu Sheng didn't respond as his beautiful eyes kept looking for that clear figure. Suddenly, he was a bit worried. This wasn't a place that anyone could come in. Even if Luo Qingshun had a bit of money, she might not be able to come in. He shouldn't have let her steal the groom. He was a bit regretful, afraid that she wouldn't be able to come. But he had already made a decision in his heart. Even if Luo Qingshun didn't come, he would still look for her. After all, in his blank life, there was only her in his memories. Ah Sheng, what are you looking at? Liang Bingbing pursed her lips and bit her lip in displeasure. It can't be that you're thinking that Luo Qingshun will also come, right? So what if I am? And Yu Sheng's voice was very soft, but it was a bit cold. Hee. Liang Bingbing instantly sneered and said, "Stop dreaming. What kind of status does she have to be qualified to come here? Do you know what kind of people are here today? That kind of little girl isn't even qualified to carry their shoes." At this moment, there was a raging fire burning in the depths of her heart. Now they were standing on this stage as a pair of newcomers. But her fiancé was actually thinking of another woman. Sure enough, poor women were particularly annoying. They were like dirty flies, always buzzing about. Now, let's move on to the part where the prospective newcomers make their vows. What is the most important thing that an unmarried bride would like to say to her fiancé? Yo, oh pa. Below the stage, there was an uproar, and the atmosphere was very lively. However, they would never know that a woman in a black wedding dress was standing at the entrance of the banquet hall with a perfect smile on her face. That, Liang Bingbing shyly swayed her body left and right, then said with a smile, "I like you the most." Her delicate voice rang in Yu Sheng's ears, and he couldn't help knitting his brows. Looks like our new year is very shy. Then let's ask the groom-to-be, what is the sentence that he wants to say to the bride the most? Silence. There was an awkward silence. Other than in Yu Sheng, everyone present felt awkward. The host saw this and quickly added, "It seems like our groom-to-be is even more shy." Chapter 1432 says, everyone sucked in a deep breath of cold air at this moment. The original teasing and applause instantly turned into whispers. Io, and Yang's son is quite direct. He doesn't give old Liang any face at all. Isn't that so? I'm afraid the marriage between the two families is going to be ruined. Look at old Liang's face, it's already so dark. But I feel that this can't be blamed on Yang's son. I heard that old Liang's daughter is very delicate. Who can take it? Although everyone was talking, they weren't as excited as Liang Bingbing. After all, she was considered half the main character today. You, what do you mean? Liang Bingbing gritted her teeth. Although she was very angry, she wasn't very forceful within Yu Sheng. No matter what, she still wanted to marry him and become the most dazzling princess. Pung! There was the sound of the banquet hall door being opened. Luo Qingchun was wearing a dark black lace wedding dress and high heels inlaid with black diamonds. She walked step by step from the entrance of the banquet hall to the stage. The youth narrowed his eyes and felt the blood in his body boil. That beautiful girl that belonged to him was walking against the light as she walked towards him. The delicate lace of the lace dress showed off her white legs. They were slender and straight, completely outlining her exquisite curves. Inadvertently, she touched the corner of her lips and smiled faintly at him. A smile that could overturn a city. It was used to describe this beautiful scene. Everyone's eyes fell onto her, and they were filled with gasps. That kind of beauty, that kind of radiance. Da-da. She slowly raised her right hand and snapped her fingers as the robot standing at the door came in. The moment the robot appeared, someone under the stage recognized it and said in surprise, "Isn't this Gentleman V?" Gentleman V was one of the names of the robots, but Luo Qingxin liked to call it Little V. "Master, what orders do you have?" Little V's voice attracted everyone's attention. Gentleman V was priceless on the market. The master who could buy it had to be rich. "My crown is a bit crooked. Help me fix it." "Yes, master." The smile on the young man's face grew wider, and his deep eyes flickered with a faint light. He slowly raised his hand and said to her, "Come here." However, Liang Bingbing standing beside him was trembling with anger. She shouted at Luo Qingchun when in Yu Sheng's voice fell. "Are you mistaken? This kind of lowly person can be let in? Security, throw her out. This is my engagement ceremony." Luo Qingchun had a faint smile on her face the entire time. She had bright eyes and white teeth, as well as a proud look in her eyes. "Miss Liang, I think you're mistaken." Her voice carried an absolute aura as she looked at Liang Bingbing and said, "The person who should leave is you." The people here certainly didn't know that an hour ago, she had bought 10% of the shares of the St. Paul Regal Hotel in the name of Mr. L. In other words, this was her territory. "This miss, don't say such ugly words." Liang Jiwei, whose face couldn't be any darker, stood up and looked at Luo Qingshun with a serious look. After all, you're not qualified. Chapter 1433. You're hilarious, you slut. You're dressed like a ghost. Liang Bingbing pointed at her eyes and angrily rebuked. Do you know who you're talking to? Don't you know how to respect your elders? You have to be an elder worthy of respect. Her eyes trembled and she snapped her fingers at little V. In 3050, the Liang's group didn't hesitate to fight with a holdout over a property dispute, causing the other party to unfortunately die in the dispute. In 3052, the Liang's group illegally purchased a property in North City without a permit. In 3054, the Liang's group called for donations, and the final amount was 480,000. Little V's mechanical and honest voice sounded, making Liang Zhuwei's face turn red. These were the secrets of the Liang's group that no one knew in the past few years. In 3057, shut up. Liang Zhuwei pointed at Little V and angrily said, a broken robot caused damage to my Liang's group's reputation. I have the right to make it disappear from this world. His eyes fell onto Luo Qingchun as he continued. Other than that, this young Miss Luo, just wait for this Liang's court summons. You have to have the ability to kill my robot. Luo Qingchun's lips curled, and she snapped her fingers again. As a national protection robot, my master bought me for 190 million and insured me for 1 billion. Little V's mechanical voice sounded so pleasant at this moment, and it didn't forget to add, Uncle, you have to think carefully, 100 million, 90 million. They originally thought that the girl in front of them would be kicked out by the security guards sooner or later, but after hearing the price of 190 million, they didn't seem to think so. A broken robot for 190 million? Oh my. Luo Qingshun, are you crazy about money? Liang Bingbing naturally didn't believe that a little girl who used to work in Zhao Jinchuan's bar would have 190 million. I definitely have more money than you. Haha. Liang Bingbing clapped her hands, and the way she laughed in her wedding dress looked particularly ugly. After she finished laughing, she looked at Luo Qingshun with disdain and said, you think you're worthy of talking about money? Bing Bing. Liang Zhuwei signaled with his eyes that she didn't need to say anything more. After all, in Liang Zhuwei's opinion, it would be beneath his dignity to talk too much with these low-class people. Miss Luo, no matter what reason you have for coming here today, please leave immediately. Liang Zhuwei stood with his hands behind his back and continued, otherwise, I will immediately call the police. She came to find me. Luo Qingchun had given him a signal before, telling him not to speak and to leave everything to her. But seeing these people bullying her like this, he was extremely unwilling. Xiaosheng, and Yang scolded angrily. Haven't you embarrassed yourself enough? No one could stop what I want. And Yu Sheng revealed a smile. His beautiful eyes had been on Luo Qingchun the entire time. He just felt that she was especially beautiful. No matter how he looked at her, he would never get tired of looking at her. Although Yang was not very satisfied with Liang Bingbing, the family relied on the Liang family's status in the business circle after all. Now it seemed like it was all gone. Humph. Liang Zhiwei snorted coldly. He looked at Yang with extreme displeasure and said, I don't care about your son, but it doesn't mean that you two can bully my daughter like this. As soon as his voice fell, he said to the assistant behind him, call the police for me. Chapter 1434. Liang Zhiwei knit his brows and raised his hand to stop the assistant. He asked with a serious look, what do you mean? Dad, don't say that much to this little delinquent girl. Liang Bingbing saw Liang Zhiwei's hesitation and immediately rushed off the stage, angrily saying, this Luo Qingchun was in a bar before. She's so poor, this black dress was probably picked up from the trash can. Just call the police and catch her, this kind of shameless slut. You're saying this to a shareholder of the Emperor Hotel? Don't you think it's funny? Luo Qingchun lifted her dress and walked toward Yu Sheng. When she stood on stage, her right hand was taken by Yu Sheng. There was a bit of dominance in this gentleness, like he was holding a treasure. Shareholder? Ha ha ha. Liang Bingbing laughed again. This time her laughter was wild, and her face was a bit twisted as she roared. You really are dreaming. You're a shareholder? Ha ha ha. Liang Ji-wei, who had always been in the business circle, had a sunken face. This girl named Luo Qingshun in front of him might be telling the truth. Because there were security guards all around the hall, but not a single one of them came forward to chase her out. At this time, one of the professionals under the stage wildly typed on the keyboard before saying in a shocked voice, "An hour ago, a 10% share of the Emperor Hotel was sold." Damn, is this true? This girl doesn't seem to be older than 18. She can really buy the shares of the Emperor Hotel. God, could it be that she's a hidden expert? As soon as the final voice fell, that so-called professional pushed up his glasses and said, "You're right." "What do you mean? Clearly explain it to me." Because she was too excited, Liang Bingbing directly cursed. It was really embarrassing for a girl in a white wedding dress to say such words in front of so many people. Humph, such a bad temper. The professional gave a soft snort and said in a lively tone, "The one who bought the 10% share is no one else but the mysterious person who bought the Golden Triangle area a few months ago, Mr. L." When he said the words Mr. L, everyone's face changed. Liang Jiwei and Enyang looked at Luo Qingshun in disbelief. Luo Qingshun sighed, raised her eyebrows, and said, "That's right." Hiss! Another breath of cold air. After all, probably no one present would have thought that Mr. L, who controlled the commercial lifeline of the entire Golden Triangle, was actually an 18-year-old girl. How rich and capable did he have to be in order to have such incredible achievements at such a young age? How is this possible? How is this possible? Liang Bingbing's eyes widened as her lips trembled uncontrollably. She couldn't be more familiar with Luo Qingshun. Luo Qingshun used to be a lowly delinquent girl who wore heavy makeup and stayed at the school gate regardless of wind or rain for 2,000 yuan. How could it be Mr. L? No, that's impossible. They must have made a mistake. Anyone in this world could be Mr. L, but it was impossible for Luo Qingshun. You're lying. Liang Bingbing shouted out as she threw the red wine in her hand at Luo Qingshun. She angrily said, "I want to tear apart your ugly face." Ping ling pang lang. And Yusheng reached out to block it, but a piece of glass accidentally splashed onto Luo Qingshun's neck. It was scratched, and there was a bit of blood. And Yusheng trembled as his deep eyes lit up. Chapter 1435. Actually, when Luo Qingshun heard the notification from the system, she was inexplicably moved. At this moment, she suddenly realized something else. Even if everything came back to square one, even if he didn't know her, he had never let her be heard at all. That youth with a personality disorder, before he lost his memories, did he leave behind the only protection and love he had for her? Luo Qingshun looked up. When she was about to say something, she saw that in Yu Sheng's beautiful eyes had a trace of darkness in them. He narrowed his eyes and looked at the wound on her neck, as his cold fingers softly moved over her waist. He lowered his head and closed his eyes. In front of everyone, he kissed her on the neck. The clean youth in the white suit gave people the feeling that he was a vampire in the night, sucking the blood of the evil queen. Falling together. Where her shocked mind was pulled back to reality, she suddenly thought, "And you, Sheng, in big court, wide mass of down, kiss her." The surrounding was terrifyingly silent. The rich red wine came out, accompanied by the taste of blood on the tip of his tongue. He really wasn't willing to let her go, not willing to let her go for a second. All the gentleness slowly disappeared at this moment. Then Yu Sheng, who only loved Luo Qingshun, was back. After a few seconds, he reluctantly looked at her. His slender fingers came up and pushed the hair on her cheek to her ear as he softly said, "This way, it won't bleed." Luo Qingshun was stunned. The aura of a queen with countless halos had been completely suppressed by the youth beside her. His every frown and smile had the terrifying aura of a king, protecting her by his side. 3 seconds later, Liang Bingbing gave a wild scream. Like a lunatic, she threw her veil, earrings, and jewelry to the ground before stomping on them. Upon seeing this, Mrs. Liang hurriedly stepped forward and hugged her daughter. While comforting her, she did not forget to say to Luo Qingchen, "So what if you were Mr. L? You have to pay the price for bullying my baby daughter." If it was under other circumstances, Liang Jiwei would probably say that Madame Liang was soft-hearted. But at this moment, Liang Jiwei clearly stood on the side of his wife and daughter. He angrily rebuked Luo Qingchen. "You which, as long as my Liang group exists, I will definitely make you pay for what you did today." When he saw his daughter being bullied so miserably by an inexplicable person, as a father, Liang Jiwei could no longer bear it. In his eyes, his little princess should be doted on and protected. She could only bully others, but no one could ever bully her. Luo Qingchen dragged out a long sound. The curve of her mouth was just right. Her pair of bright eyes looked at Liang Jiwei and said, "Then you may have to say goodbye to your Liang group today." Those who were watching the excitement whispered to each other again when they heard Luo Qingchen's words. "Suddenly, I feel a bit horrified. Now that it is confirmed that the girl is Mr. L, then the credibility of her words is very good. Yeah, I heard that the Liang group is not doing very well recently, and the stock has fallen greatly. TSK, this girl won't really beat the previous wave to death on the beach, right? It's hard to say. She can have such achievements at her age. If she claims to be number one in the business circle, no one dares to claim to be number two." Chapter 1436. Ridiculous, really ridiculous. Liang Jiwei could no longer maintain a steady image, but he was completely angry and roared at Luo Qingchen. "Why? What qualifications do you have to say this? I am the chairman of the Liang's group. What about you? Who do you think you are?" In the business circle of City A, there were naturally people who were more powerful than him, but it did not mean that he was not strong. The gap between the strong was very small. Even if he was not as good as Mr. L, it did not mean that he had no status in this circle. "Why?" Luo Qingchen gently raised her eyes and looked at Liang Jiwei with an imposing manner. "Because I own 40% of the shares of the Liang's group. Do you think that is enough?" "What did you say?" Liang Jiwei's eyes were straight, and he looked at her with an incredible face. Everyone looked at Luo Qingchen in shock, and their eyes fell on her. What did she mean? Did she acquire the shares of the Liang's group? And Yang, who was standing not far away, narrowed his deep eyes slightly. This was the first time he looked at Luo Qingchen, who looked only 18 years old in front of him. At this moment, he did not doubt her words. "Looking at your expression, I should have to explain it to you." Luo Qingchen made a symbolic snap to little V. A mechanical voice resounded throughout the banquet. "There are a total of 12 overseas accounts under the master's name, and a total of the shares of the Liang's group." Little V also paused appropriately and continued. "Therefore, the master currently has the highest administrative power over the Liang's group." Everyone present was completely stunned for a second, and then there was a sigh. "Oh my God! Since Mr. L has acquired more than 40% of the shares of the Liang's group, how did she do it? Don't call her Mr. L. She is obviously a little girl. This time, old Liang is going to suffer a setback because of this little girl. This is the case in business. Winning and losing are ups and downs. Impossible." Liang Jiwei shook his head very heavily and said excitedly, "It's absolutely impossible. Whether it's possible or not, it's not up to you to decide." Luo Qingchen raised her hand, a glimmer of light flashing through her beautiful eyes. She waved her hand at little V, and an LCD screen immediately appeared in front of little V's chest. On it was a company sale agreement that she had drafted. When Liang Jiwei saw the equity book on the screen, his angry face gradually became frightened and uneasy. "Dad, that's impossible." He was already as cold as a rag doll. He sat on the ground and cried, "I don't believe it. I don't believe it. She must be lying. She must be lying." Deceiving yourself is the most successful thing you've done in your life. Luo Qingchen shrugged and looked at little V. "I'm sure. Press the button to confirm the sale, and the Liang Group will enter the transaction. All property market developments will be halted, and all stocks under your name will be suspended." Little V's every word shook Liang Jiwei's heart, but he was still unwilling to admit it. But the phone in his pocket was vibrating like crazy, as if it was telling him his Liang group was over. He had lost an 18-year-old girl. He had lost to the little punk that his daughter had described. She looked at the helpless Liang Zhuwei in her gorgeous black clothes, with a look of an absolute winner in her eyes, as her lips curled slightly. And Yusheng tilted his head and muttered in her ear, "My girl, she's so dazzling that I'm a bit afraid." Afraid of what? Chapter 1437. The winner didn't need any explanation. Luo Qingshan was the most dazzling person at the Emperor Hotel tonight. As for Liang Zhiwei and his family, they had become a veritable clown. After several months of planning, it was all for her to stand at the peak today. She stood at a height that those who had insulted her verbally would never be able to reach. The next morning, all the major newspapers published the news of the Liang Group going bankrupt. There was no timely help. There were just famous people in the business circle throwing stones at someone who was down. This circle was just this cold. It wasn't wrong to say that everyone would push a wall that was down. When Luo Qingshan learned of this news, it was already afternoon. The sun shined down on her, and the snow on the ground gradually melted. The spring of everything was about to come. After the Liang Group fell, and Yusheng's father naturally wanted to win over Luo Qingshan. But because he had been too negligent with her before, he couldn't put down his old face to personally look for her. Therefore, at a certain dinner a few days later, and Yang gave Yusheng a piece of red braised pork with a smile. "Ah, Sheng, eat more. You're so thin after being sick." And Yusheng nodded with a smile. "Thank you, Dad." As for his memories, other than Luo Qingshan, he didn't have any complete memories. Most of the other people's memories didn't exist, but there would be fragments from time to time. But most of the fragments were very vague. At this moment, drinking the hot fish soup and eating the red braised pork his father gave him, he felt the warmth of his family. And it was quite good. But in Yang's next words were like a splash of cold water on Yusheng's head. "This is too thin. What if young Miss Luo doesn't like it?" At this moment, it was as if there were 10,000 grass mud horses galloping across his heart, bouncing back and forth in his heart. "Dad, you eat more, eat more." And Yang didn't feel awkward at all. He still had a smile as he gave him food. "This young Miss Luo seems like a good girl. You have to take care of her." And Yusheng gave a strange nod as his lips curled into a smile. What he said sounded right, but why did it feel so fake when Yang Kong said it? A month later, Luo Qingshan and Yusheng's wedding was on the agenda. They did not get married in China, nor did they invite guests from all over the world. Instead, the wedding was held on a small island. There was a church, a few important relatives, and a few close friends. Those who had left the business circle. She suddenly felt that such a wedding was so pure. "You look especially good in a wedding dress." She wore a pure white wedding dress and landed on the lush green lawn. She took his wrist and smiled sweetly. "Then, do you think I look better in a black wedding dress or a white one?" And Yusheng thought for a bit before saying with a smile, "You look good in anything, but I like you wearing white." "Why?" "When you wear black, your aura is too strong. I always feel like nothing in this world can trouble you, and you don't need anyone's protection." He softly patted her arm before continuing, "I want to protect you every moment of my life." Sometimes, the most sincere vow wasn't made when exchanging rings, but when there was responsibility. Chapter 1438. Returning to a city, the original Mr. L in the business circle instantly became Mrs. N. Everyone expressed their heartfelt blessings to this golden couple, and called Luo Qingshan a genius in the business circle. Although this name was not domineering at all, she liked it very much. Before going abroad, she entrusted a lawyer with full authority to deal with several things, and after returning home, there were results. Luo Qingshan used some abnormal means to use the shares of Liang's group in her hands to directly declare bankrupt. The money converted from selling the shares was all distributed to her employees. After all, it was not her intention to make them unemployed. However, if this group still existed, she would really see it as an eyesore. Liang Zhuwei naturally and resolutely sued her, but because of the sudden break of the capital chain, his funds could not be turned over. In less than a week, he reached the point of selling his property. This kind of predicament, not to mention hiring a lawyer, even surviving, was a difficulty. As a last resort, he could only convert all the real estate in his hands into funds and flee a city. On a certain train, Liang Bingbing in dirty clothes walked behind Liang Zhuwei, and beside her was the once incomparably beautiful Mrs. Liang. Unfortunately, things were still the same, but people had changed. "Sorry, this is a first-class carriage." The waitress looked them up and down, but said to them in a very gentle tone, "If you only have standing tickets, you can move to the second-class carriage and sit down." Okay. Liang Zhiwei nodded again and again, but his daughter Liang Bingbing did not intend to leave. "I don't want to go." Her voice was a bit sharp, and it sounded very harsh. She shook her hand and said, "The carriage over there is dirty and smelly. I don't want to go." She hated very much. However, this kind of hatred was of no use. She had no choice but to accept her fate. Listening to the other side, the waitress's face immediately relaxed and said very seriously, "Our train, whether it is first class or second class, has been carefully cleaned, and we respect every passenger. But if this young lady does not have a ticket, please leave the first-class carriage immediately." "You!" Liang Bingbing fiercely glared and angrily said, "Snob, then you have to be a person." Luo Qingshun, who was sitting in the business-class carriage, pushed up her big sunglasses and slowly walked past Liang Bingbing. She gently pushed down her glasses, then immediately put them back on. The corners of her mouth curved into a beautiful arc as she said, "TSK, today's weather is really good. I'm in a really good mood." "Wife." There was a gentle voice that slowly came from behind, and Yu Sheng's white shirt attracted everyone's attention. "Slow down a bit," he gently called out to her. He walked beside her and dotingly held her hand. "It wouldn't be good if you were to accidentally lose it and get caught by bad people." As he spoke, he did not forget to glance at Liang Bingbing from the corner of his eyes. The next second, she flipped her long hair and said, "Even the bad guys need to have the ability to do so." After all, at this moment, the bad guys they were talking about looked like rats crossing the street. They were not worth mentioning at all. Liang Bingbing clenched her fists angrily and was about to curse like a shrew. The waiter beside her hurriedly said, "Miss, please leave quickly." "AI, let's go. Liang Zhiwei forcefully pulled her hand and quickly disappeared at the end of the carriage. Luo Qingshun gave a cold snort and proudly nodded before heading in the direction of the business-class carriage. The train shuttled back and forth with beautiful scenery along the way, just like her life. There were times when it was just right. Chapter 1439. I don't understand what it means to be just right. I just don't want to let down or be let down. I won't retreat when it's time to hug, and I definitely won't cry when it's time to laugh. And Yu Xing I have been a very rebellious person since I was young. Before my big brother died for me, I hated him a bit. Or it couldn't be said a bit, it should be said that I hated him a lot. He seemed to have the aura of a main character since he was born, directly grabbing the model of a house when drawing lots. As for me, I grabbed a small knife. It was probably from that day onwards that my big brother and I had different paths of fate. He was destined to be a dazzling man, and I was destined to be nothing. There were many people who gave him love letters in school, although there were quite a few who gave me. But he was different from me. He was the perfect student in the eyes of the teachers, and the perfect male god in the eyes of the girls. As for me, I was just handsome and a bit like a ruffian. I like hearing the sound of a knife cutting through skin until it entered my veins, giving me the pleasure of a ding. It was like no one in this world could understand me. They all thought that I was rebellious, unreasonable, and arrogant. Only Big Brother understood me. He knew that I just wanted to be valued by my parents. Even if they didn't value me, just taking a look was good, but it was a pity that they never looked at me. They even let me stay out all night when I wasn't even 10 years old, and they never sent anyone to find me. I seemed to be the shame of the infamily, a bloodline that they weren't willing to acknowledge. Until Big Brother's death made them see my existence. Even though the things they said in the first few months were still as unpleasant as ever. For example, why didn't you die? Why didn't you go to hell instead of your big brother? What meaning is there in you living? You should also die. Die. At least your big brother won't be alone. These sobbing and resolute words were in my ears day and night, and no one knew that I was sadder than any of them. Because in Liang Sheng was the only person in this world who loved me. The toys I didn't get, the love I didn't get. He used his identity as a big brother to make up for the gap in my life. I loved everything about him, but at the same time, I loved everything about him. His death proved that there was no one in this world who loved me anymore. At that time, I didn't even know the meaning of my life, but the words he said to me before he died were branded in my mind. Ah Sheng, you have to live on, for me. The name Ah Sheng is the nickname he likes to call me. At that time, his parents would always call me by my full name. The words in Yu Sheng have become the rhyme that I hate the most. But even so, even if there's no hope for me to live on in this world, I must live on. For my big brother, for the other in Liang Sheng to be able to live in this world, I will do my best to live. Moreover, he had to live well. In just half a year, I went from being violent and unreasonable to being gentle and sensible. My grades went from last place to first place in the entire year. I have to say, at least in terms of studying, I have a certain degree of genius physique. It was just like how some people were suited for running, some for swimming, and some for playing musical instruments. Chapter 1440. My parents probably saw my brother's shadow in me, so their attitude toward me changed 360 degrees. They no longer said unpleasant things, and even seemed to care about me and care about my situation at school. This feeling was very strange. It wasn't that I couldn't feel the warmth, but that this warmth came too late. It was a bit fake, but I wanted to accept it. People who grew up in darkness yearned for sunlight. As long as it was a light that could shine into my heart, I wanted to have it. Luo Qingshan was that light. When I met her, it was already the 6th or 7th year since I changed from a rebellious youth to a gentle youth. My first impression of her wasn't good, because I felt like I could see a shadow of myself in her. I hated myself at that time, because if it wasn't for that terrible self, my brother wouldn't have died. But on the other hand, my personality already made up for my stubbornness. Once I got into a fight, I would fight to the death. Normal people say that you won't turn back until you hit the wall. I was probably the kind of person that would bleed. Even if I hit my head, I would still walk forward with my own blood. Therefore, I want to wait for her. The time was the same as when she waited for me, a full 30 days. When we met again, she gave me a different feeling, like a butterfly breaking out of its cocoon. At that moment, I felt that she and I were the same kind of person. At least, we were the kind of people that changed from bad children to good children. The way we interacted with each other was very strange, and we made a bet for the so-called love test. Who would fall in love with who first in the future? I always thought that someone like me who looked gentle on the outside, but was actually cold and heartless, would definitely win. But what I didn't expect was that I actually lost so badly. Every time I saw Sun Yin talking to her in school, my heart would feel especially restless. It was a feeling of burning desire. This feeling gradually swallowed up all of my reason, making me filled with hostility towards Sun Yin. What was funny was that his hostility towards me was far greater than my hostility towards him. He hated me and all the people in the family to the bone. At first, I didn't know about this hatred because all of my thoughts were on how to make Luo Qingshan fall in love with me. Efforts to fever, efforts to let her worry, efforts to keep her on my side. I found that I had unknowingly changed. I was no longer that gentle and elegant young man. I was no longer like an older brother. Instead, I'm a bit like myself. The original nature of the little devil that had been restrained in his body for a long time gave Sun Yin no chance. However, after doing so much, I didn't think that it was related to Sun Yin's identity. I didn't expect that he would work with Liang Bingbing to harm her and make me think that she had abandoned me. In this world, I'm not afraid of anything. The only thing I'm afraid of is being abandoned by her. For many days after that, whenever he thought of that feeling, his heart would unconsciously twitch. But at that time, the pain was 1,000,000 times worse than before, coupled with the suffocation in his heart. I vaguely remember that when I was lying on the operating table, I only thought of one thing. I don't want to live without her. I don't want to live at all. Just let me die. Let me get away from this pain that is beyond what a human can bear. Just as I felt my body start to feel light, Xia Qingrou's voice entered my ears. She said, "Brother, brother, Qing Chun said she only likes you." Chapter 1441. I felt my heart skip a beat, as if I had heard the voice of redemption. I opened my eyes and looked at everyone's shocked expression. I could faintly hear her clear voice from the earpiece. She said, "Wait for her to come back." I said, "Okay." This was a promise. Even Li Guang, the blood in my body, had to firmly believe in this promise. Therefore, when Sun Yin appeared in front of me and wanted to kill me, I wasn't afraid at all, because I knew he couldn't kill me. I could feel the blood flowing out of my body drop by drop, but my strong will to live drove me to press the nurse's bell, even if I was stabbed in the back of my hand. Sun Yin probably never thought that a person who lost 2,000 cubic centimeters of blood could still live in this world. Of course, he wasn't the only one who didn't think of it. Everyone present didn't think of it. When I knew she knew why, the moment I closed my eyes, I was in her arms. Once upon a time, I said to myself, if she didn't want me, if she walked into the wedding hall holding another man's hand one day, I would cause a scene. In that case, I would definitely go and cause a ruckus, and then use a dagger to pierce my own heart and die in her arms. This was the script where she didn't love me. However, the script in real life was the person Luo Qingchun loved was me. Whether it was me who had memories or me who lost them. Actually, when she walked into my line of sight on the first day, I lost my memories. I knew that our relationship wasn't normal. This feeling was like there was a touch of sweetness in the air, and I suddenly became a bit nervous. I thought I should differentiate who I liked. At least, Liang Bingbing wasn't. Although, I could only passively accept everything without memories. I accepted my parents' arrangement and accepted the so-called engagement ceremony. But passively accepting it didn't mean I couldn't take the initiative. I used all the methods I could think of to test her feelings, to test our relationship. Until, when she was saving a little girl in front of me, the back of her hand was accidentally cut by a homeless man. The moment the bright red blood dripped down, I heard the voice in my heart. Memories rolled out from my mind and filled my mind bit by bit. I was sure that she was the one I wanted to spend the rest of my life with. However, she was even more domineering than I had imagined. I always thought that she would choose to elope with me, but I didn't expect that she would choose to steal the bride. After thinking about it, I decided that it was a good thing. At least I could introduce her to everyone. In this lifetime, my wife will only have one name, Luo Qingchun. I always thought that the main character of this engagement ceremony would be me. I would handsomely hold her hand, protect her, and tell everyone that she was the one I loved. Unexpectedly, she was the one who was shining brightly. At that moment, she seemed to have attracted the attention of everyone present. Her every word carried an aura that no one else had. She had fought a beautiful battle against the Liang Corporation. From the beginning to the end, she had not lost even once. Suddenly, she was no longer the girl I had to protect, but a girl I was proud of. All his memories overlapped at this moment. All the things related to her played in his mind like a movie. The first time they met, the first time they held hands, the first time they kissed, the first time they parted. It turns out that we have been through so much. It turned out that I liked her that much. So. Chapter 1442. And Yusheng, the small theater that hasn't been seen in a long time, is here again. The small theater will be updated from time to time. Everyone, please wave the light sticks in your hands and let the system see your enthusiasm, all right? It was pitch black and there wasn't a single light stick waving. The system felt a bit awkward. And Yusheng, Yao, check it out. Everyone is really enthusiastic. Even the system is excited. Let's enter today's topic, which is our 10 questions interview with our personality disorder school, Hunk and Yusheng. There's no personality disorder now. And Yusheng answered honestly. First question, use an idiom to describe yourself. After 3 seconds of silence, he said, personality disorder. The system felt like it had been tricked. Second question, when was the saddest time in your life? When you saw the photo Sun Yin sent. He knit his brows and softly touched his chest as his face became a bit pale. The system won't ask such an extreme question, although it didn't know how extreme this question was. Thank you. Third question. Who is the person you hate the most in this world? Sun Yan. It seems like Sir School Hunk doesn't hesitate at all. I almost lost her twice because of Sun Yan. He didn't even dare think about it. If his heart had stopped at that time, what would she have done? Fourth question. What did you feel when you saw her for the first time after losing your memories? School Hunkin had thought about this question for a long time, but he still gave a very domineering answer in the end. Love at first sight. In his blank life, he fell in love with a girl at first sight. He felt that he should fall in love at that moment. Fifth question. Do you have any comments on her black wedding dress? Beautiful queen full of aura. Short is always everything. Sixth question. What do you think of your love rival Sun Yan? I understand his hatred, but for Mrs. N, if love is mixed with hatred, it is an insult to the word love. He isn't qualified to love her. Handsome, handsome, handsome. Seventh question. What is the most shameful thing you have ever done? Once when we went abroad for a holiday, Mrs. N was chatting happily with a foreigner. When the foreigner went swimming, I took away his underwear and shredded it angrily. The system felt the so-called personality disorder and was a little scared. Eighth question. Concerning Xiaqing Ro, what kind of girl do you think she is? My best sister, very, very good girl, but in the end, the story of Cinderella and the prince was too melodramatic. System notification. Little girl, Xiaqing Ro's story is very perfect. Okay. Ninth question. At the end of the story, when you met Liang Bingbing again on the train, you called her your wife so loudly. I did it on purpose. The corners of his lips curled up as he said, I felt very proud and wanted to show off my wife. Cough, cough. It's really 666. The system felt that it was lucky that Liang Bingbing did not die from anger. 10th question. Say something you want to say to her. If I can die by your side, I wouldn't have come to this world in vain. Chapter 1443. She blinked and blinked again. She never thought that she would come back like this. God, how did she die? Does the host want to see the video after you die? Of course. Luo Qingshun knit her brows in a depressed manner as she pursed her lips. Can I see the video before I died? The video before you die will be repeated. She gave an oh sound in her heart. It was a bit like watching a drama, but she really didn't understand. She was 33. She was in her prime. What was wrong with her? In her memories, she was on a trip with a Yu Shang. She was sleeping on a plane. Could it be? After that, the bronze mirror flashed with blue light, and the scene in the mirror gradually became clear. Tens of thousands of feet in the air, she was covered in a blanket as she fell asleep in Yu Shang's arms. Suddenly, the water on the table stirred, and the plane fell at a 90-degree angle. And Yu Shang lying beside her opened his eyes slightly. He tightly hugged her, and his deep eyes were filled with a pampering gentleness as he softly patted her head. Don't be afraid. Pong! With a loud sound, the bronze mirror turned dark. When it lit up again, there was a ruin in front of her. Firemen were everywhere, as well as reporters reporting the news. This was a major plane crash. After the plane flew over the Pacific Ocean, it fell onto a barren island. It's a pity that there were no survivors on the plane. As soon as his voice fell, the bronze mirror gradually dimmed and turned back into a broken mirror. AI, this is the legendary not knowing how you died. Luo Qingshun blinked, dying in my sleep. But in Yu Shang's final move was so warm. Host, don't you think it's great? A painless death with your lover. Asterisk caret, caret asterisk. Luo Qingshun rolled her eyes. If I was 99 years old and not 33, I would think it's great. The following is a summary of the mission. Host, please properly look over it. Name, Luo Qingshun World. Sir School Hunk with personality disorder. Mission completion rate. 50% due to the host's failure in the previous side mission. Not only will you not receive any experience points, you will also be deducted 500 points. Currently, he had 4 items in his portable space. Exquisite Ring, 9-section Moon Whip, Moon Glass Fan, and Phoenix Dance Sword. Permanent ability, Space and Time, Freeze LV2, Upgrade. Exchange points, 3,000 plus 5,000 equals 8,000 base points. 40-inch knock knock knock. Luo Qingshun felt very angry. She couldn't finish the task, in this lifetime. Her experiences in these planes had almost made her forget who she was and why she was doing these things. However, she was quite happy. It was as if he was accompanying a person through all kinds of love stories. It was like an exceptionally beautiful symphony playing bit by bit. The system completely ignored her complaints and continued to announce the contents of the mission. The host's 26th mission panel is below. In the next second, the image in the bronze mirror changed. Mission rating, B. Experience gained, 500 female lead. Luo Qingchun, thinking of clear dust. Male lead. Wen Yanshen, half-warm cup, supporting female lead. Fang Qianming, cute little fairy, supporting male lead. Yu Yin, no words, mission content. Return to 3 months before the female lead's death and obtain the love of the male lead Wen Yanshen. Side mission. Make up for the previous host's regrets and take back what was lost. Chapter 1444. Voice acting, the voice acting circle. This was Luo Qingchun's first reaction when she received the memories. Wasn't this the PAI scene that Xia Qingro had taught her before? As expected, there was always a connection between different worlds. The previous host grew up in a scholarly family. Her father was a university professor, and her mother was a violinist. She had an older sister named Luo Yingge. Luo Yingge had inherited all the good points of her parents when she was born. She had the cold and arrogant aura of an older sister. She had an absolute advantage in height and long legs that were 175 centimeters tall. This made her a ballet dancer who could stand on her toes. But the previous host wasn't that lucky. With a 15-centimeter difference, the previous host didn't have the qualifications to be an older sister. Even her parents and older sister doted on her like a little lowly doll. This made her very annoyed, but when she was doing voice acting on the internet, she discovered a new world for herself. She didn't have an advantage in height, but she had an absolute voice. She could freely change her voice between different tracks. With this voice, she could be a singer, a crosstalk actor, or a skit actor. But in the end, she chose to become an online voice actor. Why? Because she felt like she would die if she saw the light. Then the only job that could display her voice without having to show her face was voice acting. The previous host had polished her voice for half a month at home and finally settled on the voice of an older sister. Because her normal voice was clear, this coldness had nothing to do with an older sister's voice. Therefore, she used her favorite older sister's voice, which was what the circle called an attack voice. The previous host's voice acting path was very smooth. When she was invisible, she could only send her recorded voice to some clubs and apply for some roles. She never thought that there would be so many people looking for her. Until Soul Sacrifice, which gave her the title of the strongest female attack voice in the circle. Moreover, she received an invitation from one of the most famous clubs on the internet, King's Landing. A year later, she became the #1 sister. There were many people who praised her, but there were also many people who slandered her. As the saying goes, the amount of praise you receive is the amount of slander you receive. But the internet trolls weren't the scariest. The scariest were the sisters in real life. As winter approached, King's Landing accepted a play called Sword Dance Clear Song. The female lead, Feng Wu, had already been confirmed to be played by the original host, but the supporting female lead still hadn't been found. At this time, the boyfriend of the original host, also known as Yu Yin, speechless. King's Landing's #1 came to her for help, wanting to recommend someone for the role of a supporting female character. As the host, Luo Qingchun didn't forget to curse in her heart. Did the original host's eyes get hit by a soldier? At that time, the host really liked Yu Yin. It was probably because they often did voice dubbing together, so they had deep feelings for each other. The big brother and big sister of King's Landing had become the best couple in the hearts of the fans. The host agreed to Yu Yin's request and explained the situation to the president. In the end, the president agreed to let her audition, but Qianming didn't just want the supporting female role. She wanted the role of the female lead, Feng Wu. She was a bit famous in the voice acting circle, taking first place in the last most beautiful voice acting competition. She had countless photos that had been filtered and had countless otaku fans. She didn't look bad, but her makeup was a bit heavy. Fang Qianming's voice was all right, but her childish voice was too heavy. After the President Yu Yu heard her dry voice, she felt that she wasn't suited for the role of Feng Wu, so she explained this to the previous host. Chapter 1445. She angrily went to He Yuyin, but she never thought that He Yuyin would directly say to her, "I feel that Meng Meng is suited for this role." At the end of his voice, he was silent for a bit before continuing. "After all, she has looks." The previous host was even more furious after hearing this. This was the voice acting industry, not the entertainment industry. It didn't depend on looks, all right? The previous host went to the President Yu Yu and told her not to use this person if she wasn't suited. She never thought that after Fang Qianming learned of this, she would directly rain with pearls in the broadcast room. Every word she said was aimed at the previous host, saying that the previous host was bullying her because she was the #1 sister of King's Landing. She diligently recorded the entire script and sent it to him. Even the male lead, no words, felt that she was more suitable for the role. But they never thought that the #1 sister would be unwilling to give up the role for her own benefits. Instantly, Fang Qianming's broadcast room exploded. All kinds of otakus saw the girl crying on the screen, and they all angrily became keyboard warriors. The previous host's Weibo that she almost never used was completely attacked by trolls in a single night. Actually, there were many people who liked the previous host's voice, but the previous host had never done anything other than voice acting. Whether it was a career or a fan base, they all needed to be managed. Without management, they wouldn't have any cohesion. This was something that the previous host didn't do enough. Therefore, when the pressure of public opinion came, she couldn't do anything and could only watch as everyone pushed her down. Not only that, because of the terrifying pressure of public opinion, she was temporarily replaced by King's Landing. The role of Feng Wu fell into Fang Qianming's hands, and she acted as a couple with He Yuyin. When Sword Dance Clear's song was broadcasted, the response wasn't very good. Perhaps it was because normal people had ears. Fang Qianming didn't show Feng Wu's dominance. But since there was no comparison, everyone couldn't say anything and most of them expressed their support. King's Landing didn't want the popularity of this drama to decrease, so they held an offline press conference. At the press conference, when Chen Yuyin announced that Fang Qianming was his girlfriend, the topic reached a new height. The previous host who was sitting in front of the computer was filled with rage, almost having a heart attack. At this moment, she was somewhat disgusted with her own voice. She stubbornly believed that it was this voice that caused her to lose everything. Although his family had been sent to the hospital, they still couldn't be saved. In fact, the original owner didn't know that even when the wall was down, there was an invitation from the Drunken Bliss Club in the mailbox. The person who invited her was none other than the #1 cold god in the dubbing industry, Half Warm Cup. This person never posted anything on Weibo, but he had close to 6 million followers. All the dramas he acted in were popular works, and he was hailed as the world's #1 person with an incomparably deep voice. Unfortunately, the original owner didn't see this email. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been angered to death. Perhaps there would be a day where he could turn things around. After the previous host died, Fang Qianming and He Yuyin became the best couple online. However, some people started with their looks. If they didn't have talent, they still wouldn't be able to reach the peak. From then on, for 10 consecutive years, there was only one name for the best voice acting online. That was Half Warm Cup. Chapter 1446. In the 10th year, he finally appeared at the award ceremony. When he picked up the trophy, he said a very profound sentence. 10 years of life and death. If you don't think about it, you won't be able to forget it. System, is Half Warm Cup talking about the previous host? No one knows the answer to this question, but the host can ask him yourself. So, does the male lead have any affection for the previous host? No, he just admires the previous host's voice. It doesn't reach the level of liking her. Luo Qingqian thought about it and felt it was normal. After all, the previous host and Half Warm Cup had never met before, so it was hard to say whether she liked him or not based on his voice. DDD. Sitting in front of the computer, the QQ icon flashed. It was from He Yuyan. MMP. She didn't get even with him, and this scum came to find her. Actually, according to the previous host's memories, He Yuyan did have a very ambiguous relationship with the previous host, and he also said to the previous host that she would be his girlfriend. The previous host happily agreed. Answer, answer, answer. But their relationship was only online. It was said that one of them didn't have any feelings for each other. They really couldn't be considered boyfriend and girlfriend. Luo Qingchen shrugged. She first went to the kitchen to make herself a cup of warm milk. During this time, the QQ's DDD sound kept ringing. When she returned to her seat, she held the cup of milk in her left hand and calmly opened He Yuyan's chat with her right hand. There were a total of 5 or 6 messages, but the tone of the last few messages was, "Bad, bad, bad. No words. I heard that the supporting female lead for Sword Dance Clear Song hasn't been decided yet. I have a candidate here. There's no problem with her popularity and strength. Go tell you tomorrow. ZZEZ." Luo Qingchen unconsciously shook her head, sitting in front of the computer. Her heart ached for the previous host's gaze. He Yan's tone was clearly commanding. Just by looking at the meaning between the lines, it made people have the urge to slap him twice. But she wasn't impulsive. The other side seemed even more impulsive. No words. Are you there? No words. What the hell are you doing? No words. Hurry up and reply me. The girl is still waiting. What are you dawdling for? No words. Hey, hey, hey. Can you not come online when you're not around? You don't want others to find you an eyesore. No words. F***CK. After Luo Qingchen scrolled to the bottom of the chat box, she couldn't help admiring the tolerance of the original owner. She finally deserved to be pushed down by everyone. If you don't cherish yourself, why should others cherish you? Based on He Yuyan's tone, she had 10,000 reasons to believe that this man was definitely a scumbag in real life. The next second, Luo Qingchen took a sip of milk and slowly typed a word in the chat box. Get lost. Then, he moved the cursor to the words no words and right-clicked, blacklist, and disappear from the other party's list. After completing the series of actions, she did not forget to click on her signature and type a paragraph. For those who don't bring their brains with them, please use the following methods to contact them. Message in a bottle or chance encounter card. As soon as he sent out the autograph, the King's Landing group icon jumped. It seemed like He Yuyan couldn't suppress the raging fire in his heart after suddenly feeling the extreme difference in treatment. VA, no words. Thinking of clear dust, what do you mean? President Yu, what's wrong? Chapter 1447. More and more people appeared, but Luo Qingchen didn't say anything. Voice actor, no words. Say something. What do you mean by blacklisting me? Thinking of clear dust. Voice, thinking of clear dust. Literally. President Yu, why are you so angry? Voice, movie prince. Big brother, big sister, don't fight. Carrot, carrot, carrot. Post-production, a lightly. That's right. Harmony, harmony. Voice, thinking of clear dust. To know the truth, please look at my personality signature. No one in the group spoke for 3 seconds. They probably went to look at her personality signature. He Yuyan exploded when he saw this. What kind of medicine did this Luo Qingchen eat? A few days ago, she listened to everything he said. Why did she suddenly change? He didn't feel any pity for their relationship at all. After all, he could imagine thinking of clear dust in real life just by listening to her domineering female voice. Unkempt hair, half man, half woman, fat otaku. He didn't like this kind of person. It was just for his own popularity, but now he felt like he had lost face. He was still the big brother of King's Landing. How could he be blacklisted just like that? Half a minute later, Yu directly opened a private chat and asked her what the situation was. Yu, you guys were pretty good before. What happened all of a sudden? Yu was one of the few people in King's Landing who knew about her relationship with He Yuyan. On one hand, it was because of the club, and on the other hand, it was because of some personal friendship. Thinking of clear dust, scum can't be exposed. Yu, you know about wanting words in Meng Meng? Thinking of clear dust, you already knew? When she typed these words, Luo Qingchen, who was in front of the computer, pulled up the corners of her mouth. It seemed like as the leader of the club, the interest of the club was more important than friendship. After all, No Words was the big brother of King's Landing. His voice was very good, and he looked quite good. As the president, Yu naturally didn't want to offend him. Yu, not really. I just happened to see Ming's broadcast and heard her say something about wanting words. Thinking of clear dust. And got it. After saying this, she changed her QQ status to invisible. The group chat was still in an uproar, but she had no interest in reading it. Luo Qingshun felt that she had been polite enough. After all, Yi's words had already exposed everything. She had paid attention to Feng Qianming and wanted to take her into King's Landing. Although Feng Qianming's voice wasn't that good, she still had a large group of otaku fans by acting cute. This was indeed something that the original owner couldn't do. After all, the world was dangerous. Even if you don't harm others, it doesn't mean that others won't harm you. Before turning off the computer, Luo Qingshun checked her mailbox again. It was full of invitations for advertisements or online roles. Even if a voice actor had their own guild, they could still take on their own jobs. Voice acting wasn't considered a professional voice actor. Most voice acting gurus were just doing it for fun. However, there was some truth in the saying that only hobbies and interests could lead to a trance. After searching for half an hour, she still couldn't find the email from Half-Warm Cup. Could it be that the system was wrong? After all, the original owner didn't see this email with her own eyes. The system is right. It's not time yet. Luo Qingshun thought about it and found that it was indeed a bit early. Since the email hadn't arrived, she had to do something that the original owner didn't do, but it was important. To maintain the fans that supported her, at least she couldn't be so cold and aloof. Chapter 1448. Because it took her half an hour to figure out the password. She tried a few times, but they were all wrong. It was a good thing that she finally logged in. The previous host's Weibo name was very simple. It was Thinking of Clear Dust. The last time she logged in was when she registered for Weibo. This Weibo should have been created to promote the club, so it didn't have any meaning to the previous host. After staying on the front page for a second, all kinds of D sounds kept coming. All he could hear were the sound of notifications and the sound of private messages. The phone was stuck for 10 minutes before it let out a sigh of relief. This was the latest iPhone X. The previous host's family didn't lack money, so she bought it as soon as it came out. It was a silver gray color, a very cold color. If it was her, she would have bought it for a tyrant gold. It had to be said that the previous host had a lot of fans. A total of 27 million fans. They should all be people who liked her voice. Actually, the reason why everyone kicked her was because she didn't maintain a good relationship with her fans. The most important reason was that she didn't give a proper explanation after it happened. The previous host was too naive when it came to scheming. In the next second, her lips curled up as she typed a line on Weibo, Thinking of Clear Dust V. I'll broadcast it next Friday. But the broadcast room hasn't been decided yet. What do you guys think? Leaving the decision to the fans was the best way. When the Weibo came out, the words Thinking of Clear Dust was sent to the top of Weibo. Hashtag Thinking of Clear Dust has posted hashtag at the same time. The exquisitely made-up face in front of the computer froze for a moment. This face came from the champion of last year's most beautiful voice actor, Cute Little Fairy. Her wish had always been to enter the most popular club in the voice acting circle. Her first goal was naturally the number 1 Drunken Bliss, but she didn't receive a reply even after sending a few voice actors. Therefore, she could only take a step back and choose King's Landing. As a girl, if she went to King's Landing, she naturally wanted to beat the so-called strongest female voice actor to become the number 1 sister. After all, she was the most beautiful girl in the voice acting circle. Before that, she had first seduced He Yuyan. The seduction process went very smoothly. In less than 2 days, He Yuyan fell under her pomegranate skirt and planned to help her fight for a role in Sword Dance Clear Song. She didn't deserve anything else but the female lead, Feng Wu. But at this moment, she suddenly panicked. This was because after the person called Thinking of Clear Dust posted on Weibo, her popularity was much higher than expected. If an actress never interacted with her fans, then she was just an actress. The people who paid attention to her only liked her acting. But when an actress starts interacting with her fans, she becomes a celebrity. She is also the idol that her fans call her. Fang Qianming had always sold herself as an idol. So even if her voice wasn't that good and her qualifications weren't that good, she could still sweep away all the voice acting gods and win the most beautiful voice acting competition. But if this kind of lucky championship didn't have any substantial works, it would be absolutely untenable. Fang Qianming naturally knew this, so she stopped Yu Yin from insisting that she get the role of Feng Wu in Sword Dance Clear Song. It was a pity that in this parallel world, Luo Qingchen was no longer the original Luo Qingchen. Chapter 1449. Big Sister Peach's Spring. Damn, Great God Clear just posted on Weibo. My young girl's heart. When this voice sounded, I couldn't come back to my senses. Everyone calls me Little Cutie. Thinking of clear dust, I'm confessing to Great God Clear Dust. O equals Omega, smiley face, M floating in chaos. I thought that I would never see Great God Clear Dust post on Weibo in my life. Not caring about Wang Luan's love, excited. It's like I've picked up $100. Seeing the messages from her fans, her lips couldn't help curling into a beautiful arc. As expected, she wouldn't feel tired no matter how many words of praise she read. She scrolled down and found several replies that were more favorable to her. Monkey TV, Great God Clear Dust. Our boss is your fan brother. Do you want to come to our live broadcast platform? Sue. Fighting Shrimp TV, Great God. Fighting Shrimp TV welcomes you. Grapefruit TV. The #1 live broadcast platform invites Great God to join thinking of Clear Dust. Luo Qingchen's brows trembled as her eyes fell onto the words Grapefruit TV. If she remembered correctly, Fang Qianming should be broadcasting on this TV. Thinking of this, she couldn't help secretly laughing in her heart. Since the other side wanted to come to King's Landing to steal a spot from her, why couldn't she cause trouble on Fang Qianming's TV? She opened the private chat, and the person in charge of Grapefruit TV had already greeted her. Both of his hands quickly typed a line of words on the iPhone X. Thinking of Clear Dust. Hello. I want to join your live broadcast platform. Grapefruit is flattered. I feel like the boss is giving me an extra drumstick. Thinking of Clear Dust. It is also my honor. In the end, Luo Qingchen signed a contract with Grapefruit TV. Suddenly, the entire voice-acting circle exploded on Weibo. Grapefruit TV didn't forget to give a preview on their official blog, earning a lot of traffic and attention. Grapefruit TV, our family is about to welcome a great voice-acting god. Where are you, Weaving Girl? What did Grapefruit TV's official blog just say? Not caring about Wang Lun's love? Could it be that Great God Clear Dust went to Grapefruit TV? Great Clear Dust little fan. Is this true? Immediately uninstall Monkey TV. I want to use Grapefruit TV in the future. A little flower. It feels like I haven't heard Lord Clear Dust's voice for a long time. I think the soul sacrifice that she wrote is really amazing. Several degrees of displacement. I also fell in love with her voice because of soul sacrifice. Peach Jiejia's Spring. I fell in love with her because of Flowery Demon Realm. Even now, when I recall the Infernal Queen's voice, I still feel my body go numb. Of course, if there was praise, there was always criticism. Legend of the Punxi World. The originally cold and aloof Almighty suddenly felt like an ordinary person. _, smiley face, disdain, cute, love my heart. Half man, half woman, so disgusting. He hated this kind of female voice the most. It was hard to listen to. Of course, thinking of Clear Dust's huge army of fans had already flattened these comments. There were even some people with fragile hearts who directly deleted their replies to prevent themselves from being scolded. But for Luo Qingchen, testing the waters on Weibo this time was a success. At least the fans of the previous host were like scattered sand, but she used a sack to gather all the scattered sand together. Without knowing why, she suddenly wanted to know what Fang Qianming was feeling right now. As long as she thought about it, she would laugh in her dreams. It just so happened that her guess was right. Fang Qianming, sitting in front of the computer, gritted her teeth in anger. She directly sent a QQ message to He Yuyin, questioning him. Chapter 1450. He Yuyin was still in shock at this moment. Thinking of Clear Dust had decisively blocked him and then changed her usual style, and she actually posted on Weibo. Moreover, there were so many replies and reposts. It had only been half an hour since she posted, and the number of reposts and replies had already broken 10,000. This popularity, it was almost on par with a god from Drunken Bliss. He suddenly felt that it was a bit of a pity. If he didn't date little cute fairy, he could have taken advantage of this. But if he took advantage of this wave of popularity, Ming Ming would definitely be unhappy. After all, his girlfriend's looks were quite good. Although she had a bit of heavy makeup on, it was still pleasing to the eye, even if her voice and intonation were barely satisfactory. After being in the industry for so many years, he could naturally hear things like voice. He didn't have the title of King's Landing's #1 brother for nothing, but after having a girlfriend, he felt a bit bad. For example now, no words. She has already blocked me. I haven't told her anything about the Sword Dance Clear song. Little Tangle, little cute fairy, what? You didn't tell her? No words. She didn't give me a chance to say it all. Little cute fairy, what a joke. I don't know who said before, but don't look at how cold that girl's image is. She is actually a little fan who listens to you? Fong Qianmeng's words were filled with ridicule, which made Yu Yin feel quite uncomfortable. It was like he had gone from a man who ordered his girlfriend to a coward who listened to his girlfriend. This feeling was quite bad. No words. Ming Ming, I'm sure that if I'm with you, I don't want to have anything to do with her, do you understand? Although his heart was uncomfortable, he still patiently explained to Fong Qianmeng. After all, she was good-looking. Little cute fairy. I don't care. She's already at Grapefruit TV. This is taking my territory. If you don't help me get the role of Feng Wu, we will break up. When he saw the last two words, He Yuyin froze for a moment. He hated girls who kept talking about breaking up, even though he was the one who always talked about breaking up. No words, I got it. I'll try my best, all right? Come, give me a kiss. Epsilon, your good friend cute little fairy has gone offline. MD, because he had set special care for Fong Qianmeng, there would be notifications when she went online and offline. When he said those words in a particularly courteous manner, the other party immediately gave him the cold shoulder. It was as uncomfortable as eating sh*t. The next morning, Luo Qingshan went to school on time. The original owner was a freshman at Pinko University and had just enrolled for a month. Of course, there were 30 days of military training every month. Tomorrow was the first day she would officially report to school. Ding ding dang ding dang. Ling air ding dang. Like Christmas, the phone's ringtone changed the atmosphere. Caller ID. Mo ran. She was her best friend, her best friend, her best friend, and her best friend. From junior high to senior high, they had been studying in the same school. Of course, universities were no exception. Hey, hurry. Set off early. There are good clubs to choose from. Mo Rant's high-pitched voice came from the phone. The image of going to the front lines would always appear in his mind. Relax, there's no one in the animation club these days. After knowing each other for so many years, Luo Qingshan naturally knew that she loved animation the most. Chapter 1451. Of course, Pinko University did not have an animation department, so she chose the folk music department. Once again, she was in the same department as Luo Qingshan. On the first day of school, there were a lot of new students coming and going with big and small bags. It felt like the spring festival. Since they lived in the city, they all chose to attend day school. Ah Ching, the animation club is over there. Mo Ran said as she excitedly pulled Luo Qingshan's hand and ran in the direction of the animation club. As soon as they arrived, the senior was collecting the signboards. Hey, why are you leaving? I haven't signed up yet. Mo Ran was a little stunned and looked at him anxiously. The person waved his hand and replied to her seriously, The enrollment is over. You're late. As soon as he finished, he packed up and left the field, leaving Mo Ran with a face of about to cry. Wah. No, perhaps it should be said that she was already crying. Oh, don't be like this, Missy. Luo Qingshan pursed her lips. The word awkward was written all over her face. After all, this was a 925 university, not a kindergarten. This sudden outburst of crying was too eye-catching. Luo Qingchun patted her back while looking for other suitable clubs. Finally, she stopped at the place where the words voice acting club were written. Don't cry first. I found another way out for you. Luo Qingchun shook her hand, pointed to the poster in front, and repeated, We urgently need voice actors who love animation to join the club. Ancient style, modern, games, etc. can also join. Luo Qingchun did not forget to read out the contents in the brackets, so that Mo Ran would have a choice. Sure enough, when she heard the word animation, Mo Ran, who was next to her, stopped crying. She blinked and blinked again. Although she was still a little depressed, her heart was obviously shaken. But I'm not good at voice acting. She knew that Luo Qingchun was a great voice actor on the internet, but she wasn't. It doesn't matter if I try for the things I like. Luo Qingchun pulled her hand and said, Let's go. In the end, under Luo Qingchun's persuasion, Mo Ran happily joined the dubbing club. After all, it was voice acting for an anime character, so she felt quite excited just thinking about it. Luo Qingchun was in a dilemma for a long time about which club to sign up for. She definitely wouldn't go to the voice acting club. As the strongest female voice in the industry, she was afraid that she would be exposed as soon as she opened her mouth. Moreover, even the president of the dubbing club could not guarantee that his professional knowledge and dubbing skills would surpass hers. He didn't want to be ordered around by a group of insignificant people, even though he was a big shot. No matter how she thought about it, she felt that it was inappropriate. After going one round, she still chose the profession that she had accumulated over many planes, vocal music. Most of the classes at the beginning of university were relatively easy, and the club activities were held on the weekends. After class, she and Mo Ran bought 2 cups of milk tea and went home separately. As soon as she got home, she habitually turned on her computer and logged onto her Weibo. She thought that she could open QQ Music again, drink milk tea, and listen to music to relax herself. She didn't expect beep, 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 beep. Notifications bombarded her ears. Luo Qingchun frowned and opened the chat box. 2 people, 1 group. Yeah. Qingchun, you're finally online. There's something I want to discuss with you. Yezi, something big happened. Something big happened. Come out quickly. Both of their chat boxes popped up at the same time, but Luo Qingchun replied to Yezi first. Chapter 1452. Leaf, the candidate's 4 Sword Dance Clear song might have changed. I asked around, I don't know if it's accurate, but that person called Cute Little Fairy has already entered our group. Entered the group? Did that mean that Fang Qianmeng had already joined King's Landing? It seems like you wanted to discuss this with her. Thinking of Clear Dust. I got it. Thank you, Leaf. Yezi was her best friend in King's Landing. She was a girl with a lowly voice and a very pleasant voice. She was different from Yu. At least there was no conflict of interest between them. Leaf, no need to be polite with me. P.S. I don't like that cute little fairy. Luo Qingchun closed the chat with Leaf and opened the chat with Yu. Thinking of Clear Dust. What is it, President? She still gave her face in politeness, but it also meant that she only had a working relationship with Yu. Yu, that cute little fairy sent us a recommendation. Everyone felt that she was good in all aspects, so they wanted to ask your opinion. Luo Qingchun, sitting in front of the computer, had cold eyes and her lips curled into a smile of disdain. Then she quickly typed a few words on her crisp keyboard. Thinking of Clear Dust. Everyone is referring to you, and no words? Yu, my opinion isn't important. I'm just considering that if we don't accept her, she might go back to drunken bliss. You also know that our 2 groups are mortal enemies. King's Landing and Drunken Bliss had first-class fame in the online voice acting circle, and there were countless gods on both sides. The gods of King's Landing were led by Thinking of Clear Dust, and No Words, while Drunken Bliss was led by Half Warm Cup. Thinking about it, the previous host characters often clashed with Half Warm Cup. There were wins and losses between the 2 of them, so there were many fans who put the 2 of them together. They were called the voice acting gods who didn't post on Weibo. Whenever one side of the 2 groups released a work, The other side would release a work at the same time. They were mortal enemies, so the competition was very fierce. Therefore, Luo Qingchen knew why Yu did this, but she didn't accept it. Moreover, she didn't think that Drunken Bliss would want Fang Qianming. After all, King's Landing had 10 times more people than Drunken Bliss. This was enough to prove that they wanted quality over quantity. Thinking of Clear Dust. Oh? But she was already in the group, wasn't she? Luo Qingchen naturally knew that Ye would feel awkward after she typed this sentence. However, since things had already come to this, he might as well be frank. In the end, Fang Qianming had been acting cute for a long time. Yeah, actually, I don't want you and Yu Yin to be too awkward. I've heard Mengming's dry voice before, and it's indeed not ideal. But, since she's here, we can't be too petty. Thinking of Clear Dust. So what role do you plan to give her in Sword Dance Clear Song? Yeah, don't worry. You'll always be Feng Wu. I want to give her Junyu. After beating around the bush, Yu finally said what she wanted to say. In fact, this was enough to prove one point. The original owners still had some status in King's Landing, but Yu had too many things to consider. Thinking of Clear Dust. Got it. Closing the chat with Yu, Luo Qingchen opened the King's Landing group chat. Fang Qianming was chatting in full swing. After all, she was considered a bit famous, and she had Yu Yin's help. There were many gods who didn't like flooding the group chat that came out to give her face. Luo Qingchen narrowed her cold eyes. When she opened Weibo to post something, she found something important. Chapter 1453. Half-warm cup. She blinked, then blinked again, and clicked on his information with the mouse. What entered her eyes was an empty homepage, as well as over 6 million zombie-like fans. The most shocking thing was his follow list. There was only one person. That was it. Yes, her. When did he follow her? If she hadn't seen it, she wouldn't have known. Seeing the words half-warm cup, she couldn't help thinking of his appearance. She didn't even think about it before clicking the follow button. The youth on the other side of the computer had just refreshed his fan list. When the words thinking of Clear Dust appeared, his lips couldn't help curling into a perfect arc opening the private message list. When Yanshin typed a line of words. Half-warm cup V. This time we'll be clashing again. On the other side, when Luo Qingchen saw the private message, her breathing stopped. The previous host only had the word old enemy in her impression of half-warm cup. After all, they would always use different dramas for themselves and their respective clubs to compete for popularity and gain attention. But even if she didn't have a deep impression of him, she still knew this person. It was rumored that he was a very cold, great god with a peerless voice. When paired with the ancient style, it made people fall in love with him. Thinking of Clear Dust V. I remember that Drunken Bliss's reincarnation endowment is also being planned. Half-warm cup V. We're missing a female lead. Thinking of Clear Dust V. Drunken Bliss has so many great gods. Does the president not have a single one you're satisfied with? Although she didn't know why Half-Warm Cup was talking to her, after chatting with her for a while, her bad mood from before had completely disappeared. Half-Warm Cup V. I'm not satisfied. It had to be said, Luo Qingchen felt that the word cold was quite appropriate. At least she didn't feel the passion of the person who followed her first. But there was a strange expectation in her heart that drove her to type the following words. Thinking of Clear Dust V. Then who does Great God Half-Warm Cup think is suitable? Half-Warm Cup VU. He instantly replied with a single word, lighting up all the expectations in her heart. This feeling was very strange. She was very excited, but she couldn't laugh. Even on the other side of the computer where the other party couldn't see, she only pursed her lips and smiled faintly. What she didn't know was that the youth with the ID Half-Warm Cup was actually a little nervous. As someone who was known by everyone as the Great God, after hearing all the unique and beautiful voices in the online voice acting circle, he felt that Thinking of Clear Dust's voice was the most special. It seemed that under the layers of complaints of the strongest female voice, there was a touch of spirit. Thinking of Clear Dust V. Is God Warm Cup trying to poach him? Half-Warm Cup. I'm not worthy of being called a god, but I do want to poach you. When this sentence appeared in the private message, he felt a sense of satisfaction in his heart. He always felt that in this chaotic world, there was someone who was silently watching him. When he needed it the most, he would extend an olive branch. Thinking of clear dust V. Let me think about it. Actually, she already had an answer in her heart, but since she was on a drunken bliss and half-warm cup felt that she was suited to be the female lead of Reincarnation Endowment. No matter what, she still had to do some homework. Although she had inherited the original host talent as a voice actor, she still had to pay attention to emotions. Half-warm cup V. I'll wait for your news. Can you tell me your QQ number? I don't use Weibo often. Thinking of clear dust V. 1314 asterisk 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 cuckoo. Chapter 1454. Half-warm cup wants to add you as a friend. Accept. Hello, I am half-warm cup. This was the message that the system automatically sent after adding her as a friend. Luo Qingqian thought about what to say. Before she could speak, the other side had already sent a message. Half-warm cup. Contact me after you've considered it. Good night. Thinking of clear dust. All right. Good night. Ding. Affection has increased by 10. Mission completion rate is now 10%. It really was a long-lost affection. The youth sitting in front of the computer picked up the cup of coffee in front of him and took a sip. His eyebrows were like paint, and his eyes were like cold stars that had a faint glow to them. The next morning, Mo Ran kept calling her as usual. It wasn't for anything else. It was for the new breakfast shop beside the school. Luo Qingqian was stunned. After all, Mo Ran, who normally talked about losing weight, why was he suddenly interested in the new breakfast shop? With a sleepy face, she took Mo Ran's hand and said with a yawn, "Why are you suddenly so excited to eat breakfast?" Look. Mo Ran said this while taking out his cell phone. He excitedly said, "Senior Wen is eating at the breakfast shop." Luo Qingqian took the cell phone and saw that it was a WeChat group. The group name was School Hunk's Little Fans. What entered her eyes was a picture of the youth. His skin was very white, his facial features were clear and deep, and his thin lips were elegantly sipping coffee. A pair of eyes that were like stars, but gave people a cold feeling. It was probably because of the white shirt and black bow tie, as well as the chestnut hair, it gave people the feeling of coming out of comic. Under the picture were the words of the person who took the picture and the responses of the fans. Kawaii CC. Heavy news. Senior Wen is at the breakfast shop in the alley. You have to meet him quickly. Love is like a tide. Is this true? I'm nearby. I'll be there soon. A giant sound came from the sky. School Hunkwen. Can you tell me what he had for breakfast? I also want to eat. Kawaii CC. It should be coffee and buns. Come quickly. He's still here. Mo Ran loves watermelon. I'll be there soon. Luo Qingqian couldn't help shivering. Mo Ran's hobby for handsome men. She really had a special liking for two-dimensional handsome men. Who is School Hunkwen? How rude. Mo Ran interrupted her with a pout. He put his hands on his hips and said, "We have to call him Senior." Luo Qingqian expressed that she already couldn't understand the thoughts of this handsome fangirl with normal thinking. Ding-ling. Pushing open the door, a gust of wind chimes sounded. The whole breakfast shop was basically full of people. Luo Qingqian looked at her phone. There were still 20 minutes before the school gate opened. These people, could be that they gave up their sleep time and went out so early just to see handsome guys. Qing, go in order. I want a cup of coffee and a basket of buns. I found an excellent seat. Mo Ran pushed her and went directly to the seat opposite the young man that had just been vacated by a guest. She was very fast. Even if there were people around who wanted to snatch the seat, her big, but was already firmly seated. Luo Qingqian helplessly pulled the corners of her mouth and walked towards the ordering counter. A cup of coffee, a basket of buns, a cup of orange juice, and a cheesecake. Okay, please wait a moment. The young man who was sitting not far away was startled when he heard the voice. It felt very familiar. The clear voice had a pure and clean tone, and when she spoke, she deliberately emphasized the words of the items. This person must be a professional in the field of sound. Chapter 1455. Luo Qingqian took her plate and sat down across from Mo Ran. She didn't seem to care about the food in front of her. Instead, she waved at Luo Qingqian and said, "Qing, move to the left. You're blocking me." The next second, She moved to the right and said with half-closed eyes, "Hurry up and eat." Ching. Mo Ran looked aggrieved, but he still picked up the bun in his hand and took a bite. As expected of Senior Wen's favorite food. "It's delicious." Luo Qingshun took a sip of the juice in front of her. She felt as if someone was looking at her with a burning gaze. Just as she turned to look behind her, the person behind her moved. He slowly got up, put his hands in the pockets of his school uniform, and walked in the direction of the door. The surrounding people held their breaths and stared at him. Screams almost reached their throats, but they didn't shout. The only sound in the breakfast shop was Luo Qingshun eating her bun and drinking her orange juice. The young man frowned slightly. When he reached the door, he turned around, and his gaze fell steadily on Luo Qingshun. She narrowed her eyes and looked directly into his eyes. She felt that those eyes were so familiar to her. "Ah!" A girl standing not far from her screamed. She kept jumping and muttering, "The school hunk is looking at me. The school hunk is looking at me. The school hunk is looking at me." Luo Qingshun frowned unconsciously. Her head hurt a little. The young man seemed to see the displeasure in her eyes. He immediately retracted his gaze, turned around, and walked forward. A burst of crisp wind chimes rang out, and the originally quiet breakfast shop suddenly burst into an uproar. "TSK, who was that just now? Why don't you take a look at yourself in the mirror? You still want school hunk want to look at you? Dream on." "That's right. You deliberately said it so loudly just now to attract Senior's attention. Insidious and cunning person." A few crusading voices sounded. The girl seemed a little angry, but she still stomped her feet and said, "You're jealous." She took out a mirror and touched up her makeup while proudly walking out of the breakfast shop with her chest out. Mo Ran pushed Luo Qingshun's arm and whispered, "Why do I feel like school hunk when was looking at you just now?" Although it was just a glance, the angle of his gaze should be the position on her right. "Why do you admire him so much?" Luo Qingshun pursed her lips and said, "Just because he's good-looking." Sure enough, this superficial world always drove people crazy. Of course not. Senior Wen Yinshun is not only the most handsome guy in school, but also the prince of piano in the vocal music club. Wait, hey, did you sign up for the vocal music club? How? How did you get in? I heard of this club. Wait. Luo Qingshun's ears were startled. She looked at Mo Ran with a surprised expression and asked, "What did you say his name was?" Wen Yanshin Sr. Mo Ran was shocked by her sudden action. He looked at her in astonishment and said, "What's wrong?" In her eyes, Luo Qingshun had always been indifferent to handsome guys. It was as if she had always maintained a cold attitude. But this time was different. Wen Yanshin? Half-warm cup? They? In the same university? This was too much of a coincidence. Chapter 1456. Luo Qingshun passed the entire day of class in a daze. Her mind was filled with the drama of this world. Why was the online world so small compared to the real-world world? After class, she went straight home. The moment she opened QQ, she saw Half-Warm Cup's profile picture lit up. After thinking about it for around 30 seconds, she sent a message to the male lead. "Thinking of clear dust. You're in a city? Half-Warm Cup. Yes, you too?" Half-Warm Cup instantly replied to her question. It was probably because of this quick reply that she panicked a bit. Actually, she didn't need to confirm it because there was no such thing as a coincidence in this world. Moreover, he was a handsome man. Thinking of clear dust. Yes. She didn't hide it since when Yanshin only had a 10% affection for her. It was impossible for him to ask her out. Half-Warm Cup. I saw your icon flash, so I thought you were going to give me a reply. After all, she had suddenly become a separate group in his QQ list and suddenly became a special concern. Although he himself felt that his actions were very strange, he suddenly enjoyed doing things that he already felt were childish. Thinking of clear dust. Give me 2 hours. I'll give you a reply. After typing this, Luo Qingshun closed the dialogue and searched for Reincarnation Endowment in the search bar. This was a story written by a great god, an ancient short story. It was a very popular IP. It could even be said to be more popular than Sword Dance Clear Song. According to her understanding, this author was a member of Drunken Bliss. Luo Qingshun seriously looked over the Reincarnation Endowment script as well as the description of the characters. Actually, she didn't feel that the female lead named Nyen suited her, because the characters she played on the internet all had a domineering and cold voice. As for Nyen's personality, it was a bit clear with a bit of a cold feeling. When she was with the male lead Chi Jun, she had the gentleness and cuteness of a girl. This kind of character, how did it suit her? 2 hours later, Luo Qingshan took out a can of cola from the fridge and gulped it down. After clearing her vaguely depressed mood, she sent a QQ message to Half-Warm Cup. Thinking of clear dust, why do you think the role of Nyen suits me? She made an expression to express her deep confusion. Half-Warm Cup, are you done? When Yanshin, on the other side of the computer, showed a hint of surprise. To be able to organize a story so quickly, she was indeed an outstanding voice actor. Thinking of clear dust, yes. Half-Warm Cup, I think you're more suited for another voice. He had never thought that she was the kind of female otaku rumored on the internet. The moment he heard her voice, he felt that she should be a very clean girl. Thinking of clear dust, have you heard my voice acting? Won Yinshin's confident tone made her wonder if the other party even knew her voice. After all these years, her voice had already been fixed. To make her change, she could only use her own voice. Even like this, it wasn't an easy matter. After that, when Yanshin sent her a screenshot, it was probably a private folder on his computer that was filled with her voice acting scripts. Without knowing why, when she saw this scene, there was a warm feeling that filled her heart. Chapter 1457. Thinking of clear dust. If I didn't know that you liked my voice, I would have thought. Half-Warm Cup. What? Thinking of clear dust. You have a crush on me. When these 4 words were sent, the other side suddenly fell silent. He was surprised before quickly typing a line in the chat box and then delete. He typed another line and then delete again. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, after an entire 5 minutes, when Yanshin finally replied. Half-Warm Cup, it's possible. Thinking of clear dust. The youth was a bit annoyed and suddenly regretted it. He felt that he should have sent that quickly typed line. I only liked your voice. But he felt that this sentence was too fake since this wasn't his original intention. But when he felt a bit awkward, he felt that it was better to be a bit more fake. Half-Warm Cup. I meant that it's possible that your voice is very good, so I'll pay special attention to it. Asterisk caret, caret asterisk. He didn't forget to add a cute expression. He had never used an expression since he started using chat. This was his first time. Of course, Luo Qingshan sitting in front of the computer saw this cute expression and her scalp turned numb. The great male lead was acting cute with her? Thinking of clear dust. All right. Half-Warm Cup. So have you considered it? Thinking of clear dust. You're not afraid of ruining the reincarnation endowment that you've invested so much money into? After all, whether it was the advertisement or the repost of the big V's, the reincarnation endowment had already invested a lot. If she made a mistake as the female lead, wouldn't she lose everything? Half-Warm Cup. Of course I'm not afraid. I'm confident in my ears. DDD. When Luo Qingshan was still hesitating, someone sent her a QQ message. King's Landing's president, Yu. Clear dust. There's something I want to discuss with you. Thinking of clear dust? Unspeak. She felt a bit uneasy, like there was some bad news to be told. It had to be said, she was very confident in her sixth sense. Yu, yesterday we listened to cute little fairy's voice on YY, and everyone felt that her voice suited Fengwu more. Huh. Of course, there were many people who said that you suited her. So what we want to say is, why don't you guys come to YYPK tonight? She didn't know why, but she felt that Yiye's tone had changed. It was as if he had found a replacement. He was no longer asking for her opinion sincerely, but announcing things in a tone. It seemed like Fong Qianming had given Yu quite a bit of honey. She definitely knew how to flatter her. Thinking of clear dust. I don't think that's necessary. She replied indifferently and glanced at the memo. Her contract with King's Landing had expired on the 12th of last month. Because everyone had been busy with Sword Dance Clear Song recently, the logistics department hadn't told her about it. Yu, but if we don't PK as the president, I feel that it's unfair to the new members. Thinking of clear dust. What I meant was that she should get the role of Fengwu. Shi Luo Qingshun had given the role out of charity, and some people had even fought so hard for it. She found it quite funny. Yeah, really? Lady Qingshun was indeed the #1 sister of King's Landing. She was willing to give the opportunity to a newcomer. Actually, I feel that the supporting female lead Junyu is quite suited for your voice. How about you record it and send it to the group for discussion? Greater than over equal to asterisk. Slashy, you didn't forget to send a cute emoji. It could be imagined how excited she was. Chapter 1458. Thinking of Clear Dust. HM? My contract with King's Landing has expired. Yu. Qingshun, don't think too much. I've been busy with logistics recently, so I haven't thought about signing a contract. Yu. Qingshun, I've always thought that you're the most suitable for the role of Feng Wu. But that Ming is really persistent. Yu. Qingshun, are you still there? You've been with King's Landing from a nameless little club to one of the top clubs in the online world. Are you willing to part with it? Yu. Qingshun. After making a glass of milk, she took an Oreo layer cake from the fridge and returned to her seat. By the time she sat down, Yu had already flooded her chat window. She glanced at it and calmly typed a line of words. Thinking of Clear Dust. Thank you for taking care of me all these years. The road ahead is long. Take care. At this moment, she finally calmed down and opened the club's official chat. Voice actor, thinking of Clear Dust. I've been with King's Landing for 4 years. Thank you all for taking care of me. Although I don't talk much, sometimes I like to peek at the screen. All good things must come to an end. I hope that everyone who has worked with me in the past can do well. Pressing the Enter key, Luo Qingshun directly placed the mouse on the icon of King's Landing official group. Right-click, leave the group. Do you really want to leave the group? Yes. The entire process was smooth, and there wasn't a trace of sloppiness. Actually, she didn't know that after she sent this message, the entire King's Landing official group exploded. Official announcement, EXI in air. What's going on? Great Clear Dust left the group? Art designer, Evil Moon shit. What the hell? Why did she leave the group? Voice actor movie Prince. It's most likely because of the casting for Sword Dance Clear's song. Voice actor, no words. She left the group because she couldn't get chosen? What a joke. Voice actor, cute little fairy. That's right. They only said that it was a fair competition. What was she afraid of? The management had banned everyone from speaking. Yu glanced at Luo Qingshun's dimmed profile picture and couldn't help but sigh. She didn't know if it was the right thing to do, but she still felt a little uneasy. But now that Thinking of Clear Dust had left King's Landing, she could only use the cute little fairy to act as Feng Wu. At the very least, she had praised King's Landing many times in the live broadcast room, and even praised her for being a good president. She let out a long sigh of relief and made an announcement in the group. Yu, due to the expiration of her contract, Thinking of Clear Dust has confirmed that she will not be signing with King's Landing this year. I thank her for all her efforts and hope that she will continue to improve. The management restored everyone's voice. Everyone continued their discussion. Although most of them knew the reason, they didn't cause any more trouble. After all, the person in question was no longer here. The only one left was the new member of King's Landing's Phoenix Dance Clear song. Luo Qingshun took 2 big mouthfuls of chocolate, opened her Weibo, and posted the news that she was free. Thinking of Clear Dust. Due to personal reasons, I have left King's Landing. Thank you for taking care of me all these years. Also, as for the live broadcast tomorrow night on Pomelo TV, room number 10039. See you there. Sister Peach's Spring. Sofa. My God, Qingshun has posted on Weibo again. Front row strong crowd. Tomorrow will be better. Front row, squeeze. Yo. Squeeze. +1 a little flower. Which club will she join after she's free? What should I do? I'm suddenly looking forward to it. Summer of that year. You seem to be looking forward to the same thing as me. Blazing Fire. Me too. Chapter 1459. Luo Qingshun's eyes fell onto the words Flourishing Song. The vice president of Drunken Bliss, she was a voice actor who specialized in voice acting when she was in the circle. Although her style was different, Flourishing Song skills were very good. She had been a popular voice actor in the past. Then she married the president, falling white robe, so she gradually disappeared. DD. Half-warm cup's avatar on QQ lit up, as if it was lighting up her heart in the middle of the night. Half-warm cup, you left the club? When Yanshin's clear eyes on the other side of the computer lit up, feeling a bit satisfied. Thinking of clear dust. God warm cup's tone, is this forced? Are you planning on going back on your words? Ding, affection has increased by 10. Mission completion rate is now 20%. The system's notification came right on time. It seemed like Half-Warm Cup wasn't planning on going back on his words. Half-Warm Cup, look at Weibo. Luo Qingqian's heart skipped a beat, feeling like she had sold herself. She quickly opened Weibo and saw the top repost. It came from Half-Warm Cup. This was his first post after opening Weibo. Half-Warm Cup V. Welcome to Drunken Bliss. Thinking of clear dust in that instant, the entire online gaming circle fell into an explosive explosion. Little talent. This is my God Warm Cup's first post. It's actually for thinking of clear dust. Dreamlike night. God Warm Cup. God in the online community. Means that God Clear Dust wants to join Drunken Bliss? TYL Raccoon. Aren't King's Landing and Drunken Bliss old enemies? So the two of them are old enemies working together? Wind, flower, snow, moon. +1 burning sound. +10086. It had to be said, Half-Warm Cup's popularity was at least a level higher than hers. In just 10 minutes, there were over 10,000 reposts, and there were many Vs among them. She put down the chocolate spoon in her hand and quickly opened the chat. Thinking of clear dust, when did I agree to join Drunken Bliss? Although she had already made her decision, but why did it feel so hasty? Half-Warm Cup. I'm afraid someone will say I'm going back on my words, so I can only make the first move. On the other side, the Drunken Bliss official group chat exploded. Voice actor, T. Cooling Fate. My favorite voice actor, is Lord Clear Dust really coming to Drunken Bliss? Later, Mengjin. I just want to know why Lord Warm Cup is so familiar with Lord Clear Dust. _ VA Cloud Falling Clear Sky. Ditto. President Falling White Robe. Ditto. VA Seeking Clear Shadow. So even the president didn't know. Designer choosing the past. Can I get Lord Clear Dust's signature? In the past, there were grudges between the clubs, so I didn't dare to take them. Vice President, Flourishing Song. Half-Warm Cup, Warm Cup, come out and explain to everyone. I'm excited. Everyone knew that the person who liked thinking of clear dust the most in Drunken Bliss was Flourishing Song. So when she saw her leave King's Landing, she was more excited than anyone. VA Half-Warm Cup, add her. I'll send you a private message on QQ. Later, Mengjin. What the hell, you guys have QQ? VA Cloud Falling Clear Sky. There's definitely something fishy about this. President Falling White Robe. Ditto. Coco. Luo Qingqian received a notification from QQ. Someone wanted to add her? Flourishing Song wants to add you as a friend. After being stunned for a second, she clicked accept. It seemed like she really had sold herself. Chapter 1460. The system notification sounded in her ears, making her feel a bit happy. At least she didn't sell it for nothing. Flourishing Song. Carrot you carrot. God Clear Dust. God Clear Dust. God Clear Dust. Through the cold screen, Luo Qingqian could feel Flourishing Song's passion. Thinking of clear dust. Hi, Flourishing Song. How about God Clear Dust Drunken Bliss? Carrot you carrot. Luo Qingqian on the other side of the computer was stunned. Were all the people from Drunken Bliss this direct? Thinking of clear dust. If I go to Drunken Bliss right after leaving King's Landing, wouldn't it be bad for Drunken Bliss' reputation? Her concerns were not without reason. After all, these two clubs had already reached the point where they were at each other's throats. Flourishing Song. Our public relations team is very strong. They can turn white into black. _ Luo Qingqian tapped her right finger on the table out of habit, and when she was planning on replying, Flourishing Song sent her a message. Flourishing Song had already sent her a document, and the name of the document was written in large letters. Drunken Bliss Club's voice actor contract. As expected, it was very direct. Flourishing Song. Take it, take it. I already can't wait to see God Qingqian and that damn cold Half-Warm Cup act together. Carrot you carrot, properly speaking, since the vice president said this, she shouldn't be unreasonable. But there was something she had to make clear. After clicking the accept button, she gave her condition. Thinking of clear dust. I have a condition. It's related to Drunken Bliss's reincarnation endowment and my future voice actor path. Flourishing song. God cleared dust is so serious. Carrot, carrot, carrot. Luo Qingchen cleared her throat and made up for her seriousness. Thinking of clear dust. Asterisk, carrot, carrot, asterisk. Flourishing song. All right. God clear dust, speak. Carrot you carrot. Thinking of clear dust. I might not be a female attack voice actor in the future. Actually, she was very clear that the previous host subconsciously hated this voice of hers. Whether it was because of He Yu Yin or herself, the female attack voice had made and ruined her. Since she had a chance to start over, she would give up this voice. Using her clear and melodious voice could be considered a fresh start. This process would take some time, but she felt that she could do it. Actually, the host perception is right. This was the host's side mission. But since the host's mission completion rate recently, the system's mission. Flourishing song. Does God clear dust not like the female attack voice actor voice? Thinking of clear dust. I used to like it, but I won't like it in the future. There had to be a little change in life, and the system always taught her that it liked to make the original owner into herself. But since she accepted the mission, this was her own life is clear dust. Flourishing song, all right. It just so happened that Nian Yi's character wasn't a female attack voice. Carrot you carrot. Thinking of clear dust. Since I am a new member of Drunken Bliss, I can accept a fair competition for the female lead. After typing this, Luo Qingchen suddenly felt that something was wrong and added something. Thinking of clear dust, asterisk carrot carrot asterisk, flourishing song, all right. Then God clear dust, I'll add you to the group. Carrot you carrot, thinking of clear dust, all right. Your good friend Flourishing Song has invited you to join the Drunken Bliss official group. Accept. Host Dream Gene, welcome God clear dust. VA T cooling off, welcome God. This is Cha Cha. Please be familiar with her. VA Cloud falling clear sky. This is the little transparent cloud falling. President falling white robe. Little transparent white robe. Chapter 1461. Vice President. Flourishing song. You can all leave. God clear dust is mine. Carrot? Carrot. Slash welcome backslash carrot. Carrot. Thinking of clear dust. Hello everyone. Forward slash. In order to show that she wasn't cold, Luo Qingchen deliberately added an emoticon. Vice President. Flourishing song. God clear dust. I'll help you change the name of the group. Vice President. Flourishing song. Oh. All right. VA. Thinking of clear dust. Thank you. As expected, each group had a different prefix. Suddenly, she felt like she had entered a large family. VA. Half-warm cup. Welcome. President. Falling white robe. I say, God warm cup, can you not treat me differently? When I sent you in the group before, you never replied. Designer. Choosing the past. Accurately speaking, I've been in the group for 3 years. This was God Warm Cup's first time speaking. The entire group was silent for a full 3 seconds, and an inexplicable, ambiguous, and awkward atmosphere spread out. President, falling white robe. Choosing the past, there are many designers who want to join our group. Designer, choosing the past. TT, I was wrong. I don't want God clear dust signature. VA, half-warm cup. You want to have something that I don't have? Vice President, flourishing song. Haha. I suddenly feel that the 10,000-year-old ice mountain of our group is showing signs of spring. VA, half-warm cup. Now that everyone is here, reincarnation endowment can begin. President, falling white robe. God warm cup. You won't give me a chance? I also want to try matching Nian. Asterisk carrot, carrot asterisk. VA, half-warm cup. You can match Nian Yi's uncle. President, falling white robe. No. Match. 2. Damn. Suddenly, Luo Qingchen felt that Drunken Bliss was very different from what she imagined. She thought that it was a very strict group. After all, There are only great gods and no salted fish. Even the artist that the president, by Chong, wanted to replace was the most popular designer who had posted his works on Baiku. But why did it feel like they were blindly worshipping their idols? Or was it because drunken bliss had been dominated by half-warm cup for too long that divine judgment was tired? Cough, cough. Your good friend Flourishing Song has invited you to join Reincarnation Endowment. Li Shi, splendid. Welcome the heroine to the stage. Zhu Shui, cloud falling clear sky. This is Little Clear Sky, the voice of the supporting male lead, Zhu Shui. Chi Jun, half-warm cup. Everyone is here. We can start now. Vice President, Flourishing Song. Everyone can record their parts first. If there's anything you need to do, you can just tear it off. Good night. Vice President, Flourishing Song. Confessing to God clear dust again. Carrot you carrot. Since it was rather late, everyone only hurriedly sorted out their lines and went offline one after another. Luo Qingshun took a look at Weibo. Most of the comments from King's Landing wished her well. Of course, there were a few that came out, saying that she had a falling out with King's Landing because she couldn't get the role of the female lead Feng Wu in Sword Dance Clear Song. Luo Qingshun was too lazy to care about these people. The next morning, King's Landing's official account released the candidates for Sword Dance Clear Song. Feng Wu's voice fell to Feng Qianming, and the male lead's voice was Scum Man He Yuyan.